Merrily we fall out of line, out of line. Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, and today we are going to have episode 61 of OMI is my homie. We're going to talk about VeVe, bills, tariffs, obviously the OMI token, and more. What's going on in the macro? What is helping timelines, certain VeVe announcements, and why we should maybe watch more television. I am joined with my co-hosts, Crypto Rain and Dr. Stuff. They will be here. Dr. Stuff will be here in the next half hour. I think Crypto Rain will be here hopefully shortly. Anyway, let's get to some of the comments here real quick before my guests have us on. Jay Torres says, "Is VeVe's major chance of success now the hope that one of the big players buys them out, Microsoft, etc.?" No. If you were to ask me, hey, what is a more likely to happen, whether VeVe and OMI succeed? Although you were just talking about VeVe, not really, you didn't mention OMI in there. VeVe's already successful. They're already worth in the nine figures. Like that part, that question's already answered. If you want to talk about OMI, which I feel like you might because it's an OMI homie show, you really just have to wait for the NFT bull market. When that happens, a lot of the tokens that are associated with it, I think it was Coin Bureau, had said revenue generating projects will be one of the most winningest narratives of this cycle. So once people figure out, okay, hey, we made a lot in Bitcoin, ETH, MicroStrategy, whatever, and they start to park it somewhere a bit safe, and not obviously Bitcoin, ETH, and everything is probably one of the safest things out there. But when you're talking about altcoins, when they rotate into that cycle, memes will have their day, sure, but again, the narratives are going to play. There's going to be an AI narrative. There'll be gaming. There'll be NFTs. There'll be banking. There'll be DeFi. There'll be DeSci. So VeVe, if they wanted to, like, if that's the vision that they saw, if that's the future that they saw, yeah, 100%, they would be. They probably would have sold by now. But the fact that they haven't means that they really don't need to. Anyway, Turtle Golf saying, what are the best ways for VeVe to bring back the gamification of the drops? Seems like people are having fun on Pinnacle, collecting keys and going for one-of-ones. So I was like all about it the first time, right? I was collecting my keys every 4 hours. I didn't have alarms set or anything, but like kind of an internal clock. It's like, okay, yeah, it's probably time. And then I feel like they probably should have had a thing on there, like want us to remind you every 4 hours. And I don't know the amount of active daily users that they had on there, but it had to be like hundreds of people. So I was pretty impressed to see that. And it was free to do. It's still free to do. You go on every 4 hours to collect your keys. They made it even better when like, oh, now we get 2 keys every time we open up. And what's the point of doing that? For those of you that don't know, it was because you could unlock a one-of-one. And a one-of-one, out of 100,000 keys, maybe you got 100 keys. Everyone else, there was just a lot. And you had a 0.01% chance of unlocking it. And I think after like 69,000 keys, I'm going to comment nice down below with 69, it finally got unlocked, and everyone's like, ah, damn. And then the next one started. The one-of-one at first was Rafiki and Simba, the Circle of Life thing. The second one-of-one was Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, I believe. And so you're getting a lot of people to join and click every couple of hours because of the fact that it's free. It didn't cost anything to do. I think what VeVe did with their gamification like a month or two ago, when it's like, hey, if you buy or sell something, or if you comment on the feed, if you do these like daily quests, you got top of the leaderboard and you got special prizes for that. The winners will obviously say it was worth it. The people that didn't, they might be like, eh. I think it might, like, they have how many collectibles held back? I like tens of thousands of collectibles that are held back. I think you should be able to do something where you can say, okay, hey, here's what we're doing. We are doing a massive 1 month thing. And anyone that goes and does it, anyone that has a KYC account, can go in, and the minimum you're going to get is a comic that's worth $1. And the top prize will be something like, whether it's a logo, partner statue, AF-15, like something that could, like, thousands of dollars. I think that would be worth it. And again, they don't have to necessarily pay anything for it. They just have to pay it in. And again, you're not going to be able to, this one thing that could last a quarter, whatever it is. If you make it so that everybody gets something, even if it's $1 comic, I think that would do much better. As far as the gamification, like they need interest. They need people. They could have as scarce a drop as they want. It's still going to be the same 800 to 1,200 people going for it. And the license is like, okay, well, they still have a couple of cool comics left that they could put out. They could have some have for MCP points. Well, MCP points they don't really get anything for, right? Well, I guess it can guarantee you something. Okay, MCP points are so hyperinflationary that one's really, really hard. That one's because like they promise so much with that, and obviously a lot of that had to do with the VeVe-verse, and clearly it's not ready yet. But the gamification for these drops, the best way, unfortunately, is just a waiting game. And that's not to say that they should do nothing. Like they've tried really hard. They've had crafting. They've done so many different innovative ideas. Unfortunately, just nothing stuck. And it's not to say that those ideas were wasted. It's like, oh, well, we did that for nothing. No, at the end of the day, even though they didn't necessarily work to bring in people, what they did was they found out what doesn't work. And they are on the cutting edge of finding out what works and what doesn't work. There is no other company out there. There's no other platform that is doing what they're doing in the way that they're doing. The amount of what they have in R&D is insane as far as what works and what doesn't work. So yeah, I like that on Pinnacle. I legit saw like 3 posts on the VeVe Facebook saying like, who else is done with Pinnacle? Because on the second one, where instead of 1 in 100,000 keys, it was 1 in 200,000 keys, we're like, okay, we're gonna wait, right? We're gonna wait for the first 150,000, to go, and then we're gonna start sending our keys. And then it was minted in like the first 10,000, mints over there. So it's like, damn. So I understand some of the frustrations with some of the people over there. How difficult it would be to do similar. I don't know. I can't speak for the technical aspects of it. How long would it take to code? How much money would that cost to be able to take 2 or 3 people? Like, okay, here's your job. Here's what you're doing, and then have that run pretty much nonstop. If you do it like every quarter, and you would only need to do it, I think, for this next quarter. You'd only need to do it probably for the next, like, for the rest of the year. And how long does that take? How much money does that cost you? How much resources that costs you? I don't know. So it's not going to cost nothing. Like it won't cost them anything to pay out, because they could just take the comics that they've held back, or the collectibles that they've held back. They have infinite amount of those. But what it would cost them in labor, what it would cost them in resources, you do have to take that into account. There's this game that I've been playing. It's called like Quakey. It's this little like bird, and you like shoot like zombies or like whatever, and it's fun. The more zombies you kill, like the more money you get. The more money you get, the more weapons you unlock and upgrades you can do. And it's very simple. It's something that there is a very small amount of, I think, work that needs to be done, because like there's a bunch, how many hundreds of millions, if not billions, of different games out there. The skeletons, like for that particular game, I'll show you what it is, what I'm talking about here. And I'll die on purpose just so you can see. If it will load for me, okay. So you start off as this little guy. You can take an Uzi. I'm gonna put my Uzi out here, and then I'm gonna shoot this guy, right? And it'll bam, 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 bam. So this type of thing. Let me go down further. Yeah. Heck this guy up. Heck him up. Oh god. So this type of game where you just go around and shoot things, and it shoots it for you, right? You don't need to aim, you don't need to do anything. I think is very easy to code because there's a skeleton there that will be able to, and it's going to kill me right there. But there's the bare bones of this game is out there, and VeVe, what they could do is they could take someone that could say, we could take the skeleton of this game and we could code it, recode it to make it playable with VeVe characters. We could make it playable with characters that are, yeah, all right, so it's going to kill me there. Just wanted to wait till that's done, and that got me, all right, now I have 96 tokens, and I've killed 474 monsters. Would they have to build, how long would that take? There's a buddy of mine that has tens of millions of followers, and I was like, hey, affiliate program's out. And he's like, I don't even want to do it now because the app's not fun. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, there's like you said, like there's no gamification. And I was like, they have a whole metaverse. It's like, yeah, you can put your collectibles in there. It's like, yeah, you can, and it's awesome. And he's just like, yeah, but there's like nothing to do. It's like you can build anything you want. Like, what is Minecraft? It's like, yeah, but with Minecraft you can chop stuff down. Like, what is Roblox? You can, there's games in there. So I think something very simple like that. It's simple. It's not easy because again, how much time do you have to spend on that? How much money do you have to spend on that? Where I think other people, and again, you're never going to please everyone. Some people would like easier access to the token. I think some people just want token to go up, which again, I understand. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine before that said, how much would it take to get on Coinbase? About $5 million. I think he was thinking about just like paying it. It was like, I was like, well, we're going to get listed on there anyway through their DEX initiative. So any token for those that don't know, any token on base that is not on Coinbase right now, but if you're on base, whether it's Crappy Bird, Charby, Chaos on the Chains, OMI, you will be able to buy it directly on Coinbase. No need for any dexes. It's through their DEX initiative. I think games would help. I think gamification would help. Like, hey, and the more time, let's say, you spend in that game, let's say the more MCP points you could earn, or the more OMI you could earn, and make it super small, make it micro. That you have an entire business development wallet. I think it's worth it to be able to give out, like 10,000 OMI for spending an hour in a game. And this way you have people on that thing. Like again, that's obviously gets really crazy when suddenly, hey, we have like 1 million people in here, and now we have to do, give out like 1 billion. Okay, that gets, like I said, that gets insane. But why did Axie Infinity get so big? It's not because Americans were happy to spend 12 hours a day, on a game, to make like $20. It's because you had people in the Philippines where $20 a day is like gold. I think they would make $10 a day because they would split it. And everyone was doing it through the scholarship program. So I think one of the things that I think would work is if they find out a way for like true gamification to make it where you kind of earn something. And are Americans going to want to sit there 8-10 hours a day? No. Are Europeans going to want to do that? No. But would people in Thailand and Indonesia and in like the second world, like what do we have, like 70% of the earth that is online that has a cell phone? Like that is I think that's a market that nobody is really looking at right now. And again, just my opinion over there. And we could talk more about that in the future. Schottenberg says, buy Key Comics. The time is now. Key Comics, I think, are something ultimate. It's really hard for me to buy an MC1, Ultimate Fallout, Fantastic Four #1, Fantastic Four #1, Fantastic Four #5, MC1. Those are like 3 of the top 5 comics, like on the app. They are the biggest titles in all of Marvel. But 30,000 and 60,000 comics is a lot. And it's again, is that going to matter when we have 100,000 people on here? No, it's not enough. But when there's like between 700 and 800 daily active users, it's hard for me to buy the blue chip stuff because there's just so much of it. So I would rather buy Century number 1, and I'd rather buy, Century first appearance of Century. I'd rather buy Silver Surfer number 3, the first appearance of Mephisto, because Century number 1 is 5,000 copies. Let me see here. Let me go over this real quick. Oh yeah, cool. Coolio. Oh wait. Oh god. Oh, I missed something. Oh god. Too many people. Too many people. Cosmo. Meow. 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 We're gonna get copy, and we're gonna have a special guest. We're gonna have a special surprise. Special surprise. Did I have everyone say hello to Dashi? Ooh, hello Dashi. Okay. So yeah, let's take a look at the comics here, and let's do Sentry number 1, and we'll be able to tell how many of these there are. It's $4. It's $45. Sorry, that's a Jeffrey Dahmer reference from Dahmer, from that kid from American Horror Story. He's like, it's like a grown man. It's not a kid. Yeah. So for Sentry number 1, there's 2,235 of these. So I mean, I bought a lot of these for like $2 and $3. It's $4. Buy for $4, suddenly it becomes $5. I have a good amount of these. And again, it's a great one, but there's less than 20. There's less than 2,250. So I would rather buy one of these. Where is it nearly as big as Fantastic Four number 1? No, not at all. But there's a fraction of an amount of them, a fraction. And so when I got 2 comics, I got comic AF-15 common, and then I got the AF-15 ultra rare, because there's 10,000 comics. It's just a lot less than like Ultimate Fallout number 4, first appearance of Miles Morales, with 30,000, or MC1 like 60,000. That's just a lot. And again, is it going to matter when we have even 10,000 people on here? No, that's just not going to be enough for people. Jason Pena says, "Oh, boys are cooking. We're cooking now." Let me take a look at Silver Surfer number 3, and let's take a look at Surfer numero Trace, and then I think there are 5,000 of these guys, if I'm not mistaken. Which again is so little compared to most other things. So there are 5,000 of these. They're all there. And I'm gonna. Oh shoot! I have no gemmies. So we're gonna get some gemmies and purchase them. We can work it out. We can work it out. On my way to fill your bag, says OMI is my homie, is a great name. I know, right? I know. Great times. We gotta love the OMI homie. Name the show. I think it was Doctor of Stuff that came up with the name. So I don't want to view collectibles. So I just bought another 2. Make that 3. I'm sorry. I did not mean to say 2. I meant 3. Actually, I meant 4. I just bought another 4 Silver Surfer number 1s. I'm sorry. Silver Surfer number 3s. Silver Surfer number 3. It's the first appearance of. I'll just read the whole freaking thing. It's the first appearance of Mephisto. Silver Surfer's contempt for the human race seems to be growing by the second. Humankind's rejection will become his fuel to destroying us all. So again, I have 26 of these. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't have these. Anyway, great questions, Turtle. Great questions. 100%. Let me go to Omar saying, good evening. Good evening, Omar. How's it going, fam? Crypto comes says, hey. There's nothing else I can say. Hey. Beerman 2003. Are you really 22 years old? Impressive. Kuma, what up, fam? How's it going, Kuma? Talking about you before, there's a buddy of mine, I won't say who yet, that is like, hey, you still going to Florida? I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to Florida. So we might have a big VeVe meetup. Planet Vampire, give me the I don't know what to call those things. They're not party poppers. Anyway, what's up, Planet Vampire? Anyone else still buying OMI and DEVVE at these prices? Yeah, so I'm up to 270 now. I have no money left. Kuma, I'm going to be packing sandwiches for Florida because I have I have no money left. Yeah, 270 million OMI takes a little bit out of you. Oh, look at who we've got here, the Crypto Cosmo, my bae.
What's up?
How's it going, brother?
Dude, so good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm hanging out. I've been hanging on the pull-up bar a lot recently, and I feel like that's helped the back, so I'm feeling a little bit
Dude,
better.
back problems. Yeah, man. Whatever you got to do to make that feel better, that's tough.
I am going to tough it out until crypto takes off, and then I could just apparently stem cells is like the best thing for it. And I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get there.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Yeah. Otherwise, things are good, dude. Things are good.
Kuma is asking, is anyone still buying more OMI and DEVVE at these prices? I told him I'm up to 270 million OMI and I'm up to 60,000 DEVVE. Are you still buying at these prices, or is it like you have enough and you're good?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't stacked anything in the last few weeks, but it's still definitely on my radar. Trying to stack OMI more so than DEVVE right now, and then a few other
Why?
projects that I'm trying to stack as well. What's
Is it
that?
because you have more DEVVE than you do OMI, or is it because you think that OMI will run before the DEVVE?
Um, I don't know. I'm just more partial to OMI, honestly.
You're so cute.
I have
I
my
love.
bag of DEVVE. I have my bag of DEVVE that I'm pretty happy about. Um, and I'm not against adding more, but OMI is higher up on my radar.
We've had a since the last time since the last time we've had you on, there's like a whole war that happened. The
Yeah.
recently we've had the signing of the big beautiful bill, and despite Jerome Powell's reluctance to lower rates, interest rates are compressing in general, even without him doing anything. You have, I think, 7 trillion in money market accounts. M2 money supply is absolutely insane. I think it's like 10% year over year, or however much percent year over year. It seems that Q3 is probably going to be for Bitcoin. Q4 is probably going to be for ETH. And then it seems, because of that, it seems like alts might not run till 2026, and we might be having a super cycle on our hands. What do you think?
I know. I kind of think that, like, the super cycle isn't as much as like it's going to extend for a long, long period of time. It's more of how high it will go. I'm not quite sure though if it's going to just start a little later than I anticipated, and so maybe the cycle does bleed into early next year as opposed to kind of happening in Q4, early Q4, where Bitcoin may top out. Like my early thoughts were that October timeframe is where Bitcoin was going to top out this cycle. With how things have been playing out with the tariffs and the interest rates, like does it get delayed past that and then it goes super cycle upwards? I'm starting to think that that could happen, but still very bullish on Q4 in general for things to really heat up.
Yeah, there's a my friend just dropped a bomb, and he just dropped a bomb on OMI, so it's up 14% on. So I let
Sweet.
me yeah, let's see where that volume came from. Where did he drop it? That is on. I'm say like where. Nice. Um, yeah, there's very little liquidity here, so it's very well on for Americans on base and Ethereum. There's little liquidity, um,
Mm-hmm.
but despite that, there's still 2 million in volume a day. And have you heard of DeepSeek
Yeah,
or
yeah.
DeepCoin? I'm sorry, not Deep or DeepCoin as
No,
well.
not Deepcoin. Deepcoin?
Uh,
Trying to think. I don't know about it.
it's an exchange, and 18% of OMI's volume, so $342,000 today, was on DeepCoin. Um,
Really? What the heck?
yeah, and And it's like, and it only shows up on CoinMarketCap. It doesn't show up on CoinGecko. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
even know,
haven't really
like,
heard of that. Oh
yeah,
wait,
I don't
no,
even know.
I think you had mentioned it on one of your streams like a while back, when it had first gotten listed, right? It
Yeah.
was just like one of those rogue listings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked Foster, I was like, what is this? And he's like, you're the second person to ask me that today. I don't know. I was like, okay. And
Okay,
it's
we'll take it.
like when Aerodrome did it, it's like, okay, it's OMI's on base. They're on base. That makes sense. And we had like a couple thousand a day, but this is like real money that's on it. And I was like,
Yeah.
so, oh, well. Anyway, so we're going to talk about cycles and so now you think, so if Bitcoin tops out, you said in Q4, does that mean ETH doesn't top out until like Q1 of next year?
Like I'm trying to think of how long it took for ETH to top out after Bitcoin topped out last cycle. Wasn't it only like a few weeks?
Oh, was it? I
I
forget.
think it was only a few weeks. Like
Oh,
Bitcoin topped out in November, ETH topped out just like December, early December
oh,
or
so we
something.
could potentially see both of them top out in Q4 this year.
So I wouldn't anticipate it taking all that long, honestly.
Yeah. I
And
love,
same with some of these other alts like XRP and things. I would suspect that those would start topping off within a month or 6 weeks of Bitcoin topping off.
see that. See
Personally,
that. Well, on my way, say he's trying to say hi, Dashy, but it auto corrected to Daddy.
he meant both.
This is
No,
so
I'm just
great.
that's
So,
awesome.
so we have the liquidity, a slight bit of a liquidity issue, but I think that'll get corrected at some point. Is there? I know it's hard for me to figure how normal people would see it because we're so ingrained in our fishbowl of Web3, and it's like, oh, just use MetaMask, use this, use X, Y, and Z. How often do you talk to like normies that like are not in here, and how easy is it for them to get a Coinbase and a Coinbase wallet and swap on base? I'm saying it now, it's
Yeah,
probably pretty difficult.
it's funny. Like I talk not all that often, but maybe like once every couple of weeks, and they're just not into it. They're just like crypto. I don't know. And there's been a few that have been like more intrigued on crypto and asking me questions and like, should I buy? And I'm like, hey, get yourself a Coinbase account. I've helped a couple of them get set up like that recently, but the market's just down right now. So like in December and January, I was getting more interest of people that really wanted to go through with some of the things that I was talking about. But right now they're just like, oh yeah, crypto, like yeah, like the interest has fallen off.
Yeah, I feel you. Hey, Blue Storm, check. Yeah, we were just talking about that. Good times, good times. What up, everybody? Okay, let's get to some of the nitty gritty here. We have this announcement that David teased in Lisbon, and I said like, yeah, and end of June, early July. We're in early July, and I don't know what it is. He also mentioned he wants to get closer to Gen Z. I think he might have meant Gen Alpha, but the younger generations.
Yeah.
What do you think that could be? Could it be like horror game? Could it be games? Could it be Labubu? I feel like a lot of people are blowing up on Labubu now.
Oh
What
my
What
gosh.
are your
Yeah.
speculations?
Labubu was definitely not on my radar until like what was it, just last week or something.
Yeah, same.
That would be kind of crazy with how much hype there seems to be on that, and if they could make something happen relatively fast with that, that would be kind of exciting. I know nothing else about Labubu except for how crazy it's been on some of these whatever you would call it, ripping the packs or opening up. For me, I think it could be gaming. I was going to ask you exactly about this. That was one of my first topics on my mind. I'm like, when is this going to happen? Like, I'm really looking forward to it because he teased it in London, right? UK, like that little
Oh,
secret video.
oh
He kind of
yeah.
mentioned that we have a
And
big
then
partner
yeah, the
coming
week
in the next
after.
few days, but we have to shore up like a final detail or two. And then all of a sudden they were talking about similar type of thing in Lisbon, saying like, yeah, we're going to be releasing, check our socials in the next couple of weeks, is what Dan said in his presentation. So I've been like anxious to see what comes out because I have a feeling it's going to be pretty good. They have a habit of launching some impressive IP, obviously. And for me, I think that this is going to be one of those IP that's going to resonate. Don't know what it is. It could be gaming. I've seen them follow Roblox. I've seen them follow a couple of these things. Like I still think him following Elon, maybe there's some sort of SpaceX or Tesla partnership out there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. What do you think?
Well, he had who was it, Collectors Gone Digital, who had the announcement like 3 or 4 days ago that said like I've been building VeVe
Oh yeah,
versus
yeah.
for
Collectors
VeVe.
on digital. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I was wondering why David was following that. I was like, hmm. So it's now there's only Pokemon, Elon, and Roblox that he follows that we don't have an official partnership with. So
That would be my best guess then. That would be my best guess. I mean, I don't think it's Pokemon personally, but one of the other two a little bit more likely.
I don't know. Well, the,
Or
I've
Labubu
seen,
though. I don't know. He's not following
yeah,
Labubu, but that would be interesting.
yeah. Does
I don't know how
Labubu have
young that
official
is.
Twitter?
I don't know.
Hmm.
What's their age range though? I've only seen adults opening them up and going crazy, so it doesn't seem like that would be
Oh,
the age range that he's
yeah, you're
mentioning.
right. I've seen there's a couple of my friends' kids play Roblox, and the two that have been like the biggest games have been Grow Your Garden and 99 Nights in a Forest. Do any of your kids play?
No, I don't know those ones. They don't play those. Huh.
So the Grow Your Garden it's so like autistic. Like so you have this it's a really small garden that you have, and the goal is like you have a person that has like seeds for sale, and you use your I don't even know if it's real money. I think it's just the Roblox money in the game, and you buy like these really crappy seeds, but then they grow into like this fruit tree, and you take the fruit from the tree, and then there's another stand, and you sell the fruit, and then you get more money, and then you buy better seeds, and you put the better seeds in, that grows, it gets fruit, you sell the fruit, you buy better seeds. Like it's a very simple and I think very
Like
boring
Farmville.
game. Huh?
Isn't that kind of like what Farmville was like in the early
Yeah, yeah,
stages
same
of?
thing.
Yeah,
So
I played that one.
so they, yeah, and that's like got like 90 million users a day playing that.
It's
And it's
wild.
and the new thing is a called 99 Nights in the Forest where
I
you
don't
have
think
these
so.
like like it's supposed to be like a little scary, and I think like at night it is, but it's because obviously it stays at nights. You have these tasks like okay, you have to get wood and make the fire bigger, and then you eventually get cans of gasoline and you make the fire bigger, and you build beds and you do all these things, and then there's like missing children, and that gets a little scary because you go into like these buildings and these like outhouses, and you find these kids, and then there's a deer that you can't kill. There's this big ass deer that comes in and just looks at you menacingly, and you have to like avoid the deer. You're in your safe zone if you're in like in your fire, like in your campground. But if you're outside the campground where all the missing children are, then the deer can get you. But there's only so many tasks, and I feel like you can do it in not 99 days, and then it's I. But anyway, it's a big. That seems a bit more fun to me.
So just looking it up. So are these games within Roblox? Then is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I hadn't realized that. Crazy.
I went
Oh
down
man.
this autistic rabbit hole of, of Roblox games, and I'm just like two xing all of these YouTubers that play it, and the brain rot on it. Like I thought like jump cuts were bad back in the day. There is no joke, probably a jump cut every 3 seconds, and I was like, oh my god, this is
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just like opening it now, 99 Nights in the Forest, and I'm like, what the heck? I had no idea. I haven't really paid attention to all the different types of games that there are in Roblox. I just know that there's games that you can play, but I didn't even realize like to the degree of how many players play these games. Like what you were just saying is nuts. Millions and millions
insane.
play them. It's crazy.
There's a there's a meme that it was like 100 years ago. Like they banned child labor. You know, they banned children from working in the mines, and then like 2014, like 100 million kids like playing Minecraft. And then the meme is like the children yearn for the mines. It's like, yeah, they do.
Oh, dude, it's so. I hope that VeVe gets Minecraft on there. Like Minecraft's one that I've actually kind of watched my kids play and have been around more. It's been around a lot longer, I guess. But man, I think any of those partnerships would be so epic. What's the other one that he talks about a lot? Like David's been mentioning specifically, he's repeated like multiple times on video and things recently of how he wants to target like Gen Z and Gen Alpha, like you were saying. He's like, and he keeps referencing games like Fortnite and Minecraft and Roblox. And he keeps like saying those three, and I'm like, if he gets a partnership with any of those three, that would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone. So, but here's like the thing though. What I am slightly worried about is even if he gets like Blackpink, how he beat, he still never told us how he beat Binance out of getting Blackpink. Like,
It's
and I'm
wild.
gonna get that info one day. Um,
Please
and
do.
you have Ubisoft, 9 million followers, and they've had maybe a couple hundred new users from them, like each. And like,
Yeah,
if we get these ones, how much is it going to matter? I think that it can't just be drops of the collectibles. I mean,
right.
it could be, and we'll buy them, but
Yeah.
that is what worries me.
Like it is true. Like I think one of the things that made Disney so powerful when it dropped is not just the IP, but the climate in which the IP dropped, right? Like the
Yeah,
NFTs were selling for so much on VeVe, and all of the drops had been selling out for months. At least yeah, pretty much all of them were
yeah,
selling out for months at that point. And then they dropped an IP like Disney, and it was like a flood of people came. And I think that's the right time to really drop a massive IP like that is after the climate has changed, where the narrative's focused more on NFTs, there's more hype, there's money that's being made. Because ultimately, that's what's been drawing the floods of people in is when they hear the stories of people making a ton of money on it. And
yeah,
so when that happens, you're going to see, I think, VeVe drop a number of big IPs. At least I hope they do.
yeah. And they clearly have no problems waiting. Jurassic Park they held for like 2 years. Blackpink they held for like 2 years. So the other thing is that I've seen, and I use your example from that. This is straight, no pun intended, straight fire Moonbird, where it was like a Moonbird that was
Oh,
in flames, and
yeah,
that
the
was
golden
like
one.
I would have bought that. I wouldn't have paid $20,000 for it, but that's something that's like this isn't just an ordinary tweet. It's a fire tweet. I was like, oh my, I would totally buy that.
Yes.
But I use that example because it is again 9 ETH, which I think at the time was like $20,000, and first appearance Grogu is like $200, and it's just
Yeah.
such an imbalance. And so I see money going in, and Gary Vaynerchuk posted the other day, ChatGPT saying how many sales in US dollars were made this last week selling collectibles and NFTs. ChatGPT said the last week, the most recent 7-day period, all NFT collections recorded a total sales volume of 139 million, which was up roughly 17% from the previous week. And if you're specifically interested in a collectible NFTs, daily sales have hovered around 16.7 million, according to CryptoSlam's data. Though that number represents 24-hour snapshot, not a full week. So, like, it's clearly still here. It's clearly still around. It's just
Yes.
you need that break in the
Yes.
dam.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Like when I see projects like Moonbirds or like Bored Apes or whatever like that, like those big sales that happen, is because the Web3 culture is so much based on flex culture, right? On buying some, expensive looking NFT or a rare looking NFT in a community that has eyes on it amongst whales. And Moonbirds, even though the price hasn't been significant on the Moonbirds for some time now, it built a name for itself last cycle by going to a 40 ETH floor, right? And man, those things were going crazy. They went nationwide. They were on Jimmy Fallon. And you know what I mean? They had gained quite a bit of notoriety in terms of Web3 projects. So even though it's just like, oh, these birds and stuff, in terms of Web3 branding, they built a pretty solid IP within the Web3 culture. And there's a lot of whales that are aware of that brand and that IP that once they sold to another partner that people had confidence in, all of a sudden some of these whales started coming in. They're like, okay, I'm going to buy something that I can flex, that I can show and impress the crowd. And they'll throw a bunch of money at it. And the more of those types of whales that we get into VeVe, that's when you'll see like the secret rare Grogu's. Like once that flex culture comes to VeVe and people feel like they can impress others by buying something scarce, you'll see higher sales for sure.
Yeah, I think partner statue. So I did a bit of shopping. Um, I bought a second logo, and I bought two partner statues. One I donated to daCat, which is a my IP thing, but they don't still don't have KYB. So I like it's in my account for now. Um, is that something that you think is super important? The KYB? Because
KYB?
yeah,
Oh, I think it's huge, especially for a brand like VeVe. Like, honestly, I think that's so big because I could see comic book shops, I could see toy companies buying some of these digital collectibles because it will be the next wave where digital collecting and digital toys will be they'll have a huge use case, right? Like, we're just on the very beginning of this whole technology shift of, glasses with a digital overlay that will just overlay the physical world. And so once you get the technology where it becomes very normal to have digital things that you own that you can use or bring with you or show off on your person with somebody using their glasses to see, like, these things will be very important culturally, and gain a lot of momentum. So yeah, I think it's going to be a big deal to have KYB, where businesses will be able to scoop up bunches of collectibles, just tons of certain collectibles all over the world. You get comic shops all over the world scooping up these rare, Grail comics. Well, I say rare, like 60,000 for a Marvel comic #1. That seems like way too abundant now. But as you mentioned earlier in this, that's not going to be hardly anything once you get like VeVe worldwide recognized, right?
Especially when Mr. MC1 buys them as soon as they go to $20. He's got so many of
I
those,
know.
and you do too. Are you the second holder? The second biggest?
What's that?
Are you the second biggest holder?
Overall, I don't know. Overall, I'd have to go through all the different rarities, right? Like for the, I can't even remember. I've got like 316 or something. I scooped up some more rare ones last week,
My God.
because they had just dropped in price. So yeah, I'm still scooping those every once in a while, slower than I was. I really wanted to get to that 300 mark. 500 is still kind of like out there,
Yeah.
so I'll chip away at that little by little. But there's just been so many good prices on different projects that it's been spread out.
Yeah. I feel you. Gary Vaynerchuk said that the 1% that create actual demand because people want either the art or fall in love with the characters will do really well. VeVe is the best, bar none, at taking other people's IP, making them beautiful, and selling it. But aside, they have the VeVe logos, they have the VeVe dioramas. Two of them right
Mhm.
now. They have the big like water tower looking
Water
one. They have
tower,
the bug
yeah.
looking one. They have a little Christmas tree, but they don't have any characters. And I feel like they need characters. I want them to have I want them to have letters. Like nobody owns letters. I guess alphabet lore, but little V and E's fighting the FUDs. And I feel like that would be so dope. How important is IP? Is that just like, hey, they have the others, that's their bread and butter, that's how we should stay focused. They shouldn't reallocate sources to trying to do their own because it's unproven? Or do you think, like, what do they have to lose?
No, I think it's smart for them to drop some of their own IP. It'll be curious because they're going to drop like their furniture. Like they've talked about, they're going to be dropping their what do you call it? The content that you can buy for the VeVe at some point, right?
Yeah,
But
the
I mean,
two
I've thought
dollars.
about what if they dropped their own VeVe comic at some point. I mean, I think that'd be sweet for them to do. They'd have to have somebody to write it. I wonder if they could, where they'd be able to find somebody that could write comics. Who knows? Speaking about you, Randy. So yeah, I don't
I
know.
would
That'd
love
be cool
that.
if they dropped something like that.
Yeah, I feel like Ryan Reynolds trying to get Hugh Jackman to agree to Deadpool 3. Like, come on, let's do it. Like for years he had to like, yeah. Um,
What
and
up,
I'm
O'Malley?
yeah, Miller's Bay is a good egg. Um, he he said he posted yesterday is like he's calling out emoji because he did like a 2 hour space, and like as soon as the space ended, emoji had called him and be like, bro, I just did a 2 hour space, I'm not answering you right now. And I wanted so bad to say like, bro, like 2 hours is nothing, like, but I didn't want to be mean, so I so
Yeah,
instead I
man.
just said it on here.
Dude, I don't know how you do some of these spaces where you go on for so long. It is impressive. I'm like, dude, my mouth starts getting tired after talking for a couple hours. So incredible.
I think what helped is when I was in the Air Force at McGuire Air Force Base, the station in New Jersey. If I wanted to go like home back to Long Island, it was a good 3.5 hours, and I'd plug in my phone and I would have an awesome playlist and I would sing along for like 3.5 hours. And so yeah,
Wait,
I
what's
feel
your
like
on the
that.
street again?
69 hours.
That is mind-boggling. And you've done multiple for over 24 hours, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I've done a few 24s. I've done a 33.
69. Wait, didn't you sleep for part of the 69-hour one? You had
Yeah.
to have, right?
Yeah.
So good, dude.
So I think
So
it was, I think
good.
either KC or Eva had a video where it was like, it was me saying, I'm going to try not to sleep. I'm going to try to do a bunch of stuff. And then it was like 24 hours later.
Yeah, man.
And I was
I don't know
out.
how you cannot. I've done an all-nighter just a handful of times, and dude, like I'm just so wrecked at the end of like I think the longest I ever stayed up was like 36 hours or something like that. But man, that was rough. I'm not ever doing that again if I can help it.
Yeah, it's not good for you. I I don't, maybe I shouldn't say it, like, if I stay up for like that long, I start to hear things. I can't make it out, but as like
Yeah, I think that's kind of normal. Like, yeah, you should not be staying awake for too long a period of time, right?
so yeah, I heard, have you seen there's a Freddy Krueger movie from like 2010 or 20 like 11. Um the guy who plays Rorschach in
Mm.
Watchmen, he plays Freddy Krueger. It's
Yeah, I haven't
the
seen that one.
they're taking drinking like energy drinks. They're trying to stay up because if they fall asleep, Freddy's gonna get them. But there's this thing called like micro naps that they fall asleep for like a half a second. But in that half a second in dream world, a lot of stuff can happen because dream
Yes,
dream time is, yeah,
right,
wild.
right. Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, man. Like, oh, so you know what I was thinking too about like the VV, like circling back to the VV stuff and the grails and like people like coming in and the prices going up, like the secret rare Grogu. So one thing that I think is helpful that's kind of been happening slowly and surely is some of these bigger IP like blue chip NFTs from last cycle, the floors of them, like one at a time, it seems like that they'll like kind of skyrocket for a little bit and then kind of settle back down. So we've been seeing some of these big IPs start going up in price, and I think that bodes well for just the NFTs in like area genre in general. So that'll help VeVe. But like Moonbirds, like they got bought, right? Like we were talking about them, and their floor price went from like it was at like 0.28 or something like that ETH,
And
and
then
then it jumped all the way close to an ETH, and it's settling down a little bit. But Goblin Town kind of has had its pumps. You've had Cool Cats kind of go through some pumps, Pudgy Penguins, Doodles, like uh, some of these brands have pumped and gotten recognition, and they've started to secure big IP partnerships. I think Moonbirds just hinted at Twix. Twix
oh, that's
followed.
so cool.
Oh no, who did they follow? Twix followed one of the brands just like today or yesterday. It might have been Moonbirds, it might have been someone else. So I'm like, here you go. All of these NFT companies suddenly are like, oh, we got to partner with well-known IP, and IP is king. It's been talked about forever. It is going to be the big meta this time around is
Yeah.
partnerships with IP, and nobody does it better than VeVe. Nobody.
Preach. There was I don't know why this lives rent free in my head. It was a VH1 special on Eminem, and he had a there was a moment in this video. This one chick. She looked like Amy Sherman Palladino. I don't know who she was, but it was there. They were talking about Eminem's collab with Aerosmith for "Sing for the Moment," and I guess Aerosmith hadn't had a hit in like 20 years prior to that. And she had said, if you were Aerosmith, you're thanking Eminem at this point. And that was a really controversial take because the older person I was sitting with, they're like, oh no, they couldn't like fathom it. But I think that someone like Twix and they're looking at someone like Mr. Beast. That have you had the Beastable candy bar?
Yeah. Uh huh. Yep.
How did that taste to you?
Yeah, to me, they're not that great. I've had a few of the different flavors. They revamped the formula, right? Like what last year or something like that. And the new formula was like, it's not
Is
that
it?
much better or anything. Like I wouldn't choose a Feastable bar.
Yeah.
I would definitely go with Twix over Feastable personally.
Yeah. So I feel like some of these.
Doodles partnered with Twix. That's who it was.
Oh,
Sorry.
cool, cool. So I feel like some of these candy bars that are looking at Mr. Beast like, what is going on? And part of it is just followers. Like it's got a billion followers. So like they have these incredible candy bars that lasted like forever, which like you said, we would love those as opposed to the Feastable stuff. I what Pengu's doing is amazing. So I think the VeVe partnering with other other phygital stuff like that. Like we have KSC. This did beautifully. Um, I don't know
It
how much
did.
money was made with that because they had to share with Figpin and KFC, and they're I don't know how much money you make
Yeah.
with that, but
Well, like, how cool is it that, like, David was saying that the owner of KFC is a big VeVe fan. Like, that's why they did that partnership. Like, he was really into doing the VeVe partnership. And if you look in the app, like, there's a gold. You know how there's the secret rare digital collectible of the Colonel Sanders,
yeah,
but then there was another one that was like even more rare that did not get dropped on the app. There was like, I can't remember how
yeah,
many there was of that collectible, but they were all given to the owner of KFC, and that was like he just wanted to have those collectibles to give to either probably to his employees. But I'm just like, that's so cool that VeVe has captured the attention of people like that, right? And
yeah.
it's only a matter of time that they get a bunch more.
Yeah, I want more of the KFC. I would love it if they put out like it's the Willy Wonka thing. Like when Uncle Charlie's like, the man's a genius. He's gonna sell 1 million bars because anyone that gets a golden ticket, they go in and they get a free tour, they get whatever. If they were to do something like that, and maybe sweepstakes laws might not allow it, but even if they advertise, hey, one of 10, and you get free KFC, and it's $1,000 each, and it's like, well, who's going to get that? Well, we were paying $400 for Spider-Man, like out the gate. Like people would
Yeah.
totally pay that. I eat KFC all the time. KFC is expensive. Um, or even free KFC like once a week,
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, it would be cool to see like what kind of utility they could play around with. Honestly, like it made me think about even just the utility that Doodles did when they partnered with McDonald's, where when you bought one of the McCafe cups, I don't even know exactly what you got from Doodles thing, but it gave you a QR code or something that you could redeem. I think like a Doodles wearable NFT or something. I don't know what it was exactly, but like if they did that with Doodles, could KFC or things do something like that with utility? Like, and here's my question for you is, do you think VeVe could do some sort of partnership with McDonald's like that, where you get some redemption code with McDonald's Happy Meals or something? And what might that look like?
Yeah, I could see. I mean, redemption codes are easy. Like Brock McBlockchain did something a few months ago where if you paid like $5 USDC for like to mint a special fiche, it came with a code, and it's just, did he make any money on that? Did VeVe make any money? Like probably not. Like it probably maybe covered the cost. But the fact that it was a very small amount that they did, but McDonald's, when you're having like millions of kids do this stuff, like is it going to be to the height of like Pokemon where people are going in and buying 50 of them? No, but is it at least going to get one more active wallets, which we desperately need, even if it's short term? And that would help if they ever wanted to sell part of the company, if they wanted to, Matthew McConaughey, you got to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. Uh, yeah, and it would be fun. It would be like a clean version of the McDonald's thing,
Yeah,
where not the McDonald's thing, the Monopoly thing, where you
right.
would say like, and it would be fun to be able to go like every October. I remember spending more money than I'd like to admit on all of the stuff that McDonald's would give you to get the little Monopoly pieces, and then the whole
Yes.
conspiracy thing came out. But
Like think about that. What if they were able to replicate something like that on VeVe, where McDonald's gave you a redemption code, and yeah, like maybe not Monopoly, that maybe that ship has already sailed for something else. Yes, dog, what's up?
What's up, gentlemen?
he dabbed at us. Well, we are watching a 22% jump in OMI in like the last 30 minutes. So, got a little something.
Hold on, I gotta check
Is
this
that you,
out.
Doc? Were you the one pumping the price? That's what took Doc so long to jump on. He's been buying.
Him and Rain
buy more.
All makes
they were
sense.
conspicuously absent.
Let's see. Yeah,
Oh,
is
it's been
Rain
a nice little run up. Crypto in general, my
Yeah,
portfolio is going up.
he's here. He'll just be he said he's not here right now. He said he'll be running a little late.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Uh,
mean, there's
Yeah.
2 million, 1.8 million in volume within the last 24 hours. That's higher than it's been in a while.
Are you
Something's
checking
happening.
on CoinGecko?
Yeah.
Coin market cap has it at 2.3 million now because it's
Okay.
yeah.
That's
somebody
interesting.
is scooping up
Yeah.
decent amount. Is that
Yeah.
Mr. Squeeds? He's been buying a bunch recently. I saw his.
20%
Like,
is a
wow.
big jump, man. It's not even 24 hours though, right? Like
No,
it's
this
in
is
like
just in the last 30 minutes.
like hour. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just like happening in real time. That's why we thought for sure it had to have been you before you hopped on.
Yeah.
Had to have been.
My boy is sending me
No comments.
obscenities. I'm trying to find the one guy who's like, hey, check OMI. I don't know where he went. Did he like delete his comment? Oh, there it was.
Oh yeah, Blue Storm. Yeah, he's calling it out. He's been trying to tell us.
Yeah, he called
That's
out before. But yeah, so this all happened like the last 30 minutes.
Yeah, and Wes has been, met Wes's comment too.
Yeah. So what Grumpy's referencing is that the top 30 daCat wallets, if you had if you had like an ENS name like .eth, like grumpyx.eth, you got like $5 or $1 worth of OMI that they just airdropped. So that's what he's
cool.
referencing.
That's awesome. Yes. Another hodler.
Yeah. We love Grumpy. Grumpy tends to only buy meme coins though. So I think next, or maybe it is Grumpy because he said that next he wanted to focus on OMI. So we'll see. I'll do some recon and I'll let you know in my whale chat.
I did buy another meme coin this week. Actually, I bought Dog coin, the Bitcoin one. The biggest Bitcoin meme coin, Dog coin.
Isn't that an NFT? Like they're the.
I mean, it might also be an NFT, but the biggest meme coin on the Bitcoin network is called Dog.
Yeah.
It's like 400 million market cap right now, I think. I mean, it's pretty big right now, especially considering the market. But at Lisbon, Doc and I were talking to Paolo. That guy is a legend from Lisbon. Love that guy. Anyways, he was telling me all about it. So I officially joined the Dog community today. We'll see how it does.
Nice. I think there are NFTs of, is it a little Shiba Inu in like a sweatshirt?
Yeah.
He's definitely got NFTs. And
does he?
Yeah. So the meme coin. So I know you have NFTs as well. I was wondering if you might get any of that. I feel like the NFTs on Bitcoin.
Those ones, no. The Dogcoin NFTs, I wasn't planning on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even know they had it for one, but even that now knowing that they have it, no, I'll just stick to the coin. Let's see.
Yeah. Will there be a daCat booth at Comic-Con someday? Probably. I would love to have it this. So I actually have an announcement for them. There's this thing called On-Chain, and On-Chain has it where you can. I just partnered with them for daCat, and anyone now, they don't need an exchange, they don't need any crypto. They could buy daCat with their MoonPay, credit card, Google Pay, Apple Pay. I feel like ease of the token. What's up, Sleeping? How's it going? But there's an Omi Homie show, so we will talk about the Omi more than anything. Although I would love for VeVe to buy a part of the daCat IP, so that this way they have access to all of these characters and all the partnerships that I've been securing. I think that would be good. Doc, what have you? What tales of the crypt do you bring from your part of the world? What tales of the crypto?
Well, before I get into tales of the crypto, sorry I was late, everyone. I was people who've seen my Twitter, I've been getting into gymnastics a lot. like I used to compete when I was a lot younger. Kind of left that for a long time, and but I got my daughter into it, and then she got and wrote me into it, and so I do this like adult gymnastics class. And anyways, there's this group, and on the call today, there was just a small group of us, but I don't know if you guys know who Sofia Campana is. I think she was a gymnast, and I think she took like, I don't know, she placed in some like world competitions or something like that. But so she was on the call. It was interesting.
Sick.
Just yeah, like that was it was really cool. So that was a lot of fun. But from the crypto space, I'm kind of doing this research on the stablecoin Athena. Because if you guys have been paying attention, right, like there's a stablecoin bill that's going to pass. You know, right now you have the Genius Act that passed the Senate, went to the House. The House kind of had this Stable Act, and so they're trying to kind of merge the two to a certain degree. But regardless, like stablecoins are entering at some point. You know, like both the House and the Senate next week, they're calling it Crypto Week, where they're really trying to pass not just stablecoin bills, but like crypto regulation in general, right? And try to set a foundation to kind of move forward so companies know how to act in this space. But there's a stablecoin called Athena that launched last year, and it was offering, if you staked the stablecoin, the yields got up to 60% APY, which is insane. And so people were tripping out and thinking, you know, is this the next Terra Luna? Because the yields were so high, there's a lot of money that just like jumped into the ecosystem, right? That's amazing. Sleeping, I'll spot you. I'll teach you. I actually used to coach. When I was in college, I had a scholarship, but I had to take like a full amount of classes to keep the scholarship. And so I took like a 4-hour credit class and like 2 3-hour credit classes, which gave me no 2 4 and a 3-hour. So I had 11, but I needed 12. So I took gymnastics as just like an elective or whatever, right? But 2 years into it, the coach was like, "Hey, you know, I'm going to have a baby. Can you just coach the class?" And so I ended up coaching the last 2 years that I was like in college, coached the class that beginning and intermediate and advanced class. So sleeping, where I was going with that is like I could totally coach you into doing a backflip. Might take a little bit of time, but I got you, man. So
Ability. Yes.
utility will have for utility. Wait, the utility is training you guys to do the backflip. That's a lot of freaking work, by the way.
True.
You know, depending on how big of a person you are. Like I've spotted people. You got to be semi-athletic. So yeah, we'll work on that. You know, first of all, like, but anyways, yeah, going back to the stablecoin, a lot of people were tripping out because of the yields offered and how much money ran into the. It's battled with DAI. So you have like USDT, which is the highest market cap stablecoin. Then USDC is the second highest, and then DAI was the third highest. And Athena has gone back and forth with DAI as the third largest stablecoin by market cap, right? And so there's a lot of concern that, you know, is with this yield that they're offering, is Athena kind of the next Terra Luna? And could this, with the passage of stablecoin laws come into play and such a high yield or potential for a high yield, you know, it's an algorithmic stablecoin. I should have mentioned that as well, right? So, anyways, just doing a lot of research on that. I'm going to be doing some presentations, but it's been fascinating to see. And then from the crypto space, on top of that, you know, I've been thinking a lot about. I listened to this podcast called Bankless. I really, really enjoy it, and they had Kathy Wood on recently, which I really liked. Right, and her company is ARC 21 or something like that. But ARC Ventures.
She has a bunch of ARCs.
Okay, yeah. So they filed a Bitcoin ETF, right? And they were talking a lot about crypto and AI, and they talked about crypto, data, AI, and then also like the data around like genomics and stuff. And it really hit me as AI gets better and as we get more and more data, because they talked a lot about like Elon Musk and like why Tesla is not just like a car company, and like I mean it's like a data company, right? Like there's so much data that there's there, and that's why like it was like X and XAI kind of like joined, like, and so they go into all of that. But one of the things that really hit me, so I've talked about this multiple times. When I used to work for Crypto Rain, and I was kind of like a filter for there's so many projects last cycle that were reaching out to Rain and just being like, hey, we want you to talk about our project or our token, and we'll pay you to do it, right? And Rain was like, listen, I'm not just going to shill something. Like it has to make sense. It has to be meaningful. And so one of the projects that I identified was this project called Genomes.io, and it's basically they've created a way where you run your genetic sequencing, but then it's stored on the blockchain in this vault, and they've partnered with these research companies that will pay you and say, hey, like you fit this criteria, we want to do some research on it, and if you open up this portion of your genetic data, we'll pay you for it. And so I got the genetic sequencing done, and I've actually been paid in their token. But I just am really bullish on decentralized science, because you have 23andMe and there's this other genomes company, and like,
Is it called Mudo?
oh no, it's not called
Oh,
Mudo.
never
Is
mind.
that another genetics company?
Yeah, they sponsored the channel for a few months. They had me do a Haktua and spit in a thing, and then
Yeah,
yeah, they showed me that I had like, so there was a couple of things that was like, oh my God, this is awful. But a couple of things that was like, bro, you're like genetically gifted in strength and stamina and all this. I was like, yes.
that's
But
awesome.
yeah, so but there was a couple of things where like, bro, you're not okay. So
Well, this is some of the things. So I just had one of my best friends. He came over and yesterday, and I was talking with him. I kind of talked with him about the pandemic and like all of these things that I'd heard about, like hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin, and like, I mean, like he were, without doxing him, like he worked at one of the. They found out that the hospital that he worked at was the one that identified that when they were treating some of the treatment that they were having for these patients with COVID, it created this cytokine storm or something like that it was called. And they identified like what was actually happening and how to treat it. And they published it. Like, I mean, it was super cool stuff. But anyways, going back to like one of the things that he talked about was like the pathology, and they notified like if you had certain like genome or data, what was it? Genome. There was something that they could identify that if you had this, then they needed to treat you a different way, right? And that's also like with your genome, like the genes that you have like interact with different drugs differently, right? And so like that's what they're starting to learn with some of this as they're getting more and more data about it, is that they're like, okay, your DNA, the way that you react, your genes, like
Catalyzed
these
it.
type of drugs are going to help you. You're going to heal faster with this, or they'll reject it, or you can't do these types of things. It's really fascinating. So where I'm going with all of this, going back to crypto, is this genomes.io, right? Like they do all these different tests, and like you pay for the sequencing, you get a bunch of free tests, and then if you want more, you got to pay for each individual one, or you can have like a lifetime subscription. It's like $200, and then you get all of the tests that they start creating for all of this. But it's so useful to know, like you said, oh, you've got great stamina or great strength, right? But then there's some other things that it's just like, listen, like the likelihood that you get like colon cancer, or like that you're susceptible because of your genes, not just like your parents or something like that, and that history there, but like your specific genes. This is like the percentage. And with that decentralized science where you own it, 23andMe, you do these genetic sequencing, and they'll be like, oh, hey, like you're, half Polynesian and you're 13% European, or whatever that is, right? But like they took all of your data and they owned it, and they sold it up the line, right? Whereas genomes.io, like you own the data. And so like I've already done one of the research things. I got paid. I found out that like I have a lot of the genetic markers for like a thrill seeker. It's very true. Like I love doing a lot of those things. So it was fascinating to see that, right? That they were just like, hey, and they don't know anything about me, but they were just like, okay, like here's this thing. You have these markers, so more than likely you're someone who goes out and seeks kind of thrills and stuff. And I was like, whoa, like yeah, it's
So this is like
interesting.
horoscopes, like for guys. Like this is like, what's your astrological sign
Yes.
for dudes?
But like, look, the market cap's like 6 million. They're on base, and so that's one of the ones that I'm like, I'm gonna throw some more. They're backed by like they did a fundraising round. There's this VC called Pantera Capital, which is a pretty big VC in this space, like really big. And so, man, like I'm just looking at crypto, and I'm looking at some of these projects that really haven't. And I talked about it before because this token like died, right? Like the token died. There was
What's their
like.
ticker?
It's called Genomes DAO,
Okay,
GENOMESDAO.
I'm looking at
I
it.
think it's like the gene. Anyways, but so their token like died for a while. Like there was like days where like there was like $3 worth of volume on it, right? But what happened is when CZ with the whole Binance stuff, and he kind of got kicked out because the U.S. was pissed that he had some Bank Secrecy Act violations with Binance, and he was fined and all this stuff, and so he had to step away from Binance for at least 2 years. And he's like, I'm going to be researching a lot of decentralized science platforms, and I'm going to be investing in them. And then the token just like shot up like drastically, right? And anyways, then they moved to base. They've got a great, and we've had we did an interview with him on Rain's channel way back in the day. We did an interview with him. I don't know, maybe it's about a year ago. I'd like to talk to him again and see what's going on there. But yeah, that's kind of been my thing, is the stable coins with Athena and kind of what's going to be hitting into there you go. Okay. The finance industry and what's going on like in banking also with like what's going to happen with stablecoins, because I believe, guys, one of the biggest factors for crypto going up is liquidity in the markets, and stablecoins are a gateway to crypto. They really are. And so if we get this stablecoin legislation passed and banks and people start getting way more familiar with stablecoins, you better believe that there's going to be a lot more money that enters into the crypto space. And at some point, that Bitcoin dominance chart, Bitcoin is going to, it's going to hit peak at its all-time high, whatever that is. And we're not going to know when that is, but then money is going to start flowing into mainly, if it follows previous cycles, it's going to flow into the projects that have strong fundamentals. And I believe Genomes DAO does. I believe OMI does. There's a lot of use case for the OMI token, and digital collecting, I think, is going to be a thing, Web3 gaming. So I just was talking for like nonstop for about like 10 minutes, but that's what's been going on.
I love that, because back in the day, like, so there was CRISPR, and they're still around. Obviously, they can gene edit, which can be really useful if you know your kid's going to have genes for X amount of cancers, X amount of whatever. Or also if you want to play a little, we won't get into that. If you want to play like, yeah, I want my kid to look like this and not like this. And anyway, editing is one thing, but there was this one company I made a lot of money on called Illumina, where they did the tests for everything. Like they made the tests for all of it, and they kept the genetic data. And getting data on a genetic level is such a, I don't know which companies they are, that like Fitbit that has like the health, like there's, I forget what this is called. But a lot of companies, I think anyone that takes your pulse, anyone that a TikTok, like it will look at your pupils to see like what your reaction is to the content, and it'll base the algorithms on that. So I think genetics is a huge multi-trillion-dollar business that I feel like people are very barely scratching the surface on. Genomes, just because it's in there, even if it didn't have fundamentals, it would probably go crazy, just because there aren't that many companies that are in that. Everyone's in AI, but there are not a lot of companies that have that. So yeah, I hope it does well. I might
To close the loop on another thing, when I was talking about Kathy Woods, that was one of the big things that she talked about, though, was like AI and big data combined with like genetics and like what that can do. And so like I do think that like genetic data can absolutely be a narrative during this crypto cycle, right? Where they start talking about decentralized science, but then specifically like around genomes. And so to have the genomes DAO, people are searching, oh, is there like a crypto token like about genomes or DNA, right? Like, and it's gonna be one of the freaking first ones that pops up. And so, and because it's on base, right? Like,
Be available
yeah,
on
I
Coinbase.
just think that people are going to be able to access it very, very quickly, and it has substantial potential. Not financial advice. This is just what I'm in, but I was very, very fascinated by that. Been thinking about it
Have
a
they
lot.
said when it's going to go live, when you can buy the base tokens on Coinbase, right? Like they announced that a couple of weeks ago or a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the
No,
DEX initiative.
yeah.
It's from
Let's see.
Coinbase, so it should be pretty soon. It should be this year. Like I don't think it would be like Coinbase to announce something and then not do it until next year. So I'd
No, I
say,
was kind of hoping it could be like within a month or two, but I have no idea what timelines they're talking about.
yeah. I have no idea. I do. I could ask around. I have a buddy of mine knows a couple people there, so we'll see.
Yeah, obviously. But I mean, regardless, it's so cool. That's going to be a huge unlock for people just accessing the token so much more easily.
Yeah, can't wait for that. Bases, I think that was the fastest growing chain, right? Of all the
It
projects.
was, and I haven't seen what the latest is the last month or two on what the analytics have been, but it was the fastest growing, like by a significant margin. And I'm curious, yeah, now that you bring it up on where they're at lately.
Can't wait till DEVVE becomes the fastest growing chain. Then we have so that
It's so interesting. Like they are building so much underneath the surface, and they keep teasing their big partnership. And I can only imagine that whoever it is or whatever they're partnered with, that it'll just breed bigger and more partners coming their way. But it's still such a very little known token, like, and chain. It's crazy, and that doesn't mean anything, honestly. Like those are some of the biggest surprises of all during a cycle. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how it does. I'm excited about that one.
there's a lot of skepticism.
OMI.
I was talking.
I was just gonna say OMI along that line, Cosmo. OMI was the best performing token last
Yeah,
cycle out of all of the tokens out there. Right? No one knew about it. No one knew about it, right? Like, but it was so low at the time, right? And like, there was a lot of tokens that the founders had that like hadn't, like the vesting period hadn't vested and stuff. So like, but like, yeah, like, like it's funny that we're talking about that because the OMI is my homie channel. Like, here we are. Like, OMI was the best performing token last cycle, and no one knew about it, right? And I think that that's exactly what can happen with some of these tokens, like DEVVE, right? Like where it's just like no one knows what the heck is even going on or what they're building, but then all of a sudden a narrative hits, and so and here's the thing why I like DEVVE, right? What do they call it? It's what's that freaking phrase with the blockchain that they have? It's
not your keys, not your crypto.
no, sorry, like it's industry blockchain. It'll come to me. But like DEVVE specifically, like the
Okay.
type of blockchain that they've built is for companies, basically. Like to
Yeah, it
be
has something
compliant
about
with.
centralization, but they have like, what do they call it? Transparency, controlled transparency, or something like that for companies and
Contingent
countries.
transaction sets. There's T
No,
plus
it'll come to me.
zero.
It'll come to me. We're
Okay.
not on, like I'm not explaining myself well as to what I'm looking for. But basically, like it's an industrial blockchain or a blockchain for like industries and companies where they can be compliant depending on the what's that?
Corporate chain. I don't
Yeah,
know.
something like that. It'll come. I swear it starts with an S. But
Yeah, because it's all some issues that like some big companies literally have a beef about with Web3 and full decentralization, right? Like I think it's not going to be what everybody thinks of when they think of full Web3, but I don't think full Web3 is going to work for a lot of the industry out there, and it's going to be a stepping
Yeah.
stone for them. It's going to be huge, I think, this cycle.
There's a
yeah, go ahead.
permission. Um, there's a lot of unknowns out there. Like, have you guys ever heard of BioSig?
No, just like, what is it? It's a
They're
company.
Nasdaq listed So they got listed on NASDAQ X amount of time ago, and they arranged a $1.1 billion financing to tokenize commodities market after merger with StreamX. And it's just, that's something that I've never heard of. I don't even know what StreamX is, but it's $1 billion deal. Everyone has heard of Ripple, but had anyone heard of Hidden Road before Ripple paid 1.25 billion for? Like I feel like there's so many of these companies that are apparently worth billions of dollars and no one's ever heard of them. I do see a lot of skepticism with DEVVE though, because I've talked to a couple VCs about it, and they're just like, it's a layer one blockchain. Everyone says that they can do this, and it's like, I can't get it. I can't get a pitch out because it's like, no.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, like, and it's like, I feel like they're just not being smart about it. And I think this is like my litmus test for VCs now is like, do they at least hear the pitch? Do they go in with an open mind? Like how many other stuff are they missing? Did they pass on Uber back in like 2011? So that's
I
kind of my
know.
litmus test for it now.
I've mentioned DEVVE a few times in a couple of the VCs I'm in, and they just like pay no credence to it at all. I'm just like, okay, all right. But in fairness, it's like so many of these VCs, like they just pay attention to what's already like gotten the attention of the Web3 space, and they'll pay attention to DEVVE at some point, but it'll already be when it's made it. Like it's already entered and broken through in a big way.
And I mean, I understand the people that would say like, hey, we want something that's super stable. We want something that like, we don't care if it does a 20x. We just want like a 2x in like 3 years. And like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these guys play with leverage. Like that's one thing I've noticed too. Like these VCs, there is a lot of the people that just play with leverage. So they play these big tokens that go up, 30%, but they leverage it 100x or whatever like that. I'm like, that is something I stay away from completely.
Yeah, I could never. I would not. I wouldn't sleep. That would take up so much mental real estate. Wouldn't be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have a bunch of, I don't want to say tariff wars. There's new trade deals and stuff, and that the stock market closed at like its high, like I think yesterday, like highest ever. Bitcoin had its highest weekly close ever. Doc, me and Crypto Cosmo, how did I get a bug bite? Me and Crypto Cosmo were talking before about cycles and just like, okay, Bitcoin probably Q3, maybe Ethereum Q4. Cosmo's in the camp that they'll top out within a month of each other. Do you think that if we don't have an alt season by the end of this year, is that like, it's fine, it's just delayed, we'll get it in Q1? Or is that like, maybe we should start to think about alternative paths of where we should park our money?
I mean, there is nothing to me to date that I've seen that would indicate that we're not going to have an alt season.
Yeah.
So, and the reason I say that is I feel like history doesn't always repeat itself, but it like rhymes. So what's always guaranteed is that there's always going to be like a recession or a depression, which also means that there's going to be some sort of bubble that happens a lot of times, right? Like just historically, we know that happens, and we can't stop ourselves from that happening. We can't stop bubbles, right? And so like that's that whole greed and fear index type thing, right? And so we know that at some point, Bitcoin, like we've already seen it's going to a new all-time high as more and more people hear about it, and they're just like, oh, this keeps going up. I need to get in, and there's this pump. But then what starts to happen is other people start saying, well, I'm going to take profits, and they're looking because you got very, very intelligent people out there, right? And they're looking and saying, okay, I bought Bitcoin at 15 grand. I bought it at 18 grand. Maybe I bought it at 50 grand. Maybe I bought it at 75,000, but now it's at 140,000. Like, how much more can it go up? And what's, as opposed to like, can I now put my money somewhere else? Can I take all of the money I invested and remove that out, and now I'm playing with house money? And can I take some of that money and put it where there's a greater chance of a better ROI than keeping it in Bitcoin? That's going to happen. Like, that's going to happen. And so that's why and what they're going to do, they already understand crypto if they're buying Bitcoin. And so they're going to look at, that's why I said, the money cascades or waterfalls down into projects with fundamentals Now I think that meme coins, even though they don't have fundamentals, have proven a use case enough that there will still. I think there'll be meme coins that pump for sure. But I think a lot of money are going to go into projects where people are looking and saying, where are there solid fundamentals with a project or a team that's, and then what's like the narrative that starts to happen or to take hold, right? And maybe it's AI again. We've seen this. We've seen the narrative of AI. We've seen the narrative of Web3 gaming happen, right? And so those will probably come back again. But like, so when it happens, like if it doesn't happen in Q4, then like it's going to happen in Q1. If it doesn't happen in Q1, it'll happen in Q2. I don't think it'll take longer than Q2. Like honestly, now if for whatever reason it hasn't happened by Q2 either, something drastic has happened in macroeconomic environment that has pushed everything back, like a world war or something, right? Where it's just like everything gets kind of put on hold. But barring a black swan event, knock on wood, right? Like I think I would be surprised if we don't start seeing, like I feel like we're already starting to see it. And it's the summer, which typically, with the exception of DeFi summers have typically not been great for crypto, right? It's like everyone just kind of like goes on vacation and stuff like that. And then they come back. And it's normally like September is normally a great month for crypto. October is not so great. And then it's just like November, December, you start to see these pumps. That's been historically around these cycles that have happened. So I think that everything did kind of get pushed back with several things, with the Ukraine, with Iran, with these tariffs, like all of these things have kind of pushed it back further. But I would say end of Q4 into Q1, we should start seeing kind of like well, here's the other thing that I've been thinking about a lot with Bitcoin and why it might be delayed even further is we've seen all of these announcements of all of these countries and states and even cities being like, we're going to have these Bitcoin reserves, right? And they've even said like, we're budgeting like, $1 billion for Bitcoin or something. But those budgets don't kick in until, depending on their fiscal year or how they account for things. But most of them operate on like a calendar year as their fiscal year as well, right? So the budgets to start buying that Bitcoin aren't going to hit until Q1 of next year, where they're like, okay, now we've appropriated it, we've approved it, but we've got to wait until our budget to spend that to get these Bitcoin reserves. So that could delay the Bitcoin dominance and push that up even further into Q1, which then again, if people still think that Bitcoin is going up and up and up, then that pushes back the alt season. So.
Yeah, I think it's valid. I think that's very valid. There's like, when is that going to play into? Because this is just starting, right? Where different states are starting to approve a Bitcoin reserve. And then I think it's going to lead to more and more, and then countries, and then more countries and bigger countries are going to start approving it. But it takes time to actually approve and then get to the point where you're buying it. So that's why I think there could be a delay too, stuff like that. So it's a really good point.
Yeah, they have every single one of Trump's companies, most recently Truth Social, I think is the last one, filed for a Bitcoin reserve. They filed for ETF. They filed for all this stuff. So clearly they're in that. And then you have states like Connecticut, which banned a Bitcoin reserve, which is absolutely wild to me. So
their souls.
I wonder what Germany does, because they sold that like. Did they get that gig?
And they got called out for it too, right? Like even at the time, people are like, "Are you crazy selling it at this point in time? Like, what are you doing?"
Generational fumble.
Yeah, I actually got to bounce, gents. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Good to see you, man.
We love you.
Yeah, you too. All right,
goodbye,
see you guys.
Bye. Yeah. I love him so much.
Cosmo's awesome.
Sees me struggling and squirming over here. I was like, "Oh God, where is everyone?" And he's like, "Hey man, I can come on if you need." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man."
Dude, I'm sorry. Yeah, like it was only supposed to go 30 minutes, but
I get it. It's crazy stuff happening. I used to, like, and this, I don't know what it says about me as a person. Back in the day, like 10 years ago, I like going out. I love partying, as you know, but sometimes like really great conversations would be happening on like Facebook. And I'd like be like, "Hey guys, I can't go out tonight." And then I would stay in and just be in these like comment wars, these comment sections. And so I get it. Like if you have something that's just supposed to be for a certain time, and then it just goes into something awesome, and you have the how often does that happen? I'm guessing almost never, right? That you guys have like a celebrity come in.
Well, no, so that was part of like it was announced that she was going to come in. So like, I mean, if let me show you for people who don't know who Sofia Campana is. Here she is. She's got like 878,000 followers, and that this pinned one, it says that Italian champion of the parallel. So 2021 national Italian national bars champion in 2021. So that's who she is, and yeah. So this adult gymnastics thing, and it was interesting just like to interact with her, and she's super bubbly personality and really sweet, and so that was a lot of fun. And but yeah, it just went further, a lot longer than expected. But so here's something that's really funny, really funny. So they had the call on Google Meets, right? And my name for this email, like, I mean, it's all doctor of stuff, right? To not dox myself. And I was like, if I change my name, does that then change everything on all of my Google accounts, like including my YouTube? And it's like, yes. And so I'm like, well, I can't do that, right? So I show up to this adult gymnastics class, and it's like Sofia Campana, and like everyone's like normal names, and then it's just like doctoral stuff, and everyone's like, hey, like, you know, like, and I was like, yeah, long story, but I'm just roll with it, guys. Just call me Doc. Right? They were like, okay. Oh, it was great, man. I just had a laugh. I was just like laughing. And like, honestly, I feel like Sophia specifically was kind of like, doctor of stuff. Yeah. I was like, yeah, what's up?
I've been like, Dr. Off stuff. Hey, how's it going? Like, yeah. I just would have pronounced it as one word, off stuff.
Yeah, Dr. Off stuff. Yeah, I'm Austrian. I'm Austrian. That's not an Austrian. I'm not how to do Austrian.
If VeVe's new IP is Roblox, do you think we'll eventually have those games in the VeVeverse? I don't know if Roblox would want to take their already existing games that people already play on their platform and move them over into VeVe, but maybe a new game that they're not sure they want to take a risk on. They might be like, hey, do that. I don't know. What's your take on that, Doc?
No, like I wouldn't think that would be the case. I think if there's games that happen, it's going to be people that at some point in time in the VeVeverse that they'll develop the toolkits there, and people will just build games there. And maybe if it's Roblox and there's Roblox collectibles on VeVe, right? You could use those Roblox collectibles in that game. Yeah, I would think if VeVe partners with something like Roblox, Minecraft, Fortnite, the biggest utility right off the bat to me would be skins, right? Like, so you own the Secret Rare Spider-Man, and now you get like some sort of Roblox Spider-Man on Roblox, or, you know, Minecraft Spider-Man character on Minecraft, or something like that, or some super sick skin on Fortnite, you know. That to me would be pretty big utility. You know, shout out to OMI. You know, he made a post where he was just like, what was it? What game? And it's like, you own this Lambo NFT and you get to like drive this Lambo in this like racing game or something.
Oh, like Wilder World?
Wilder World. Thank you. Yeah. So he's like, how do these even compare? And I'm like, well, like they don't. They're not the same. They're not the same thing, right? Like one is a digital collectible, and like the other is like an NFT specifically made to be used as like a skin in this game for this car racing game, you know, like, and so it depends on what you want, right? Like you also can't take that Lamborghini and like have it in AR and drive it around your neighborhood, but you can with your Lamborghini collectible on VeVe, right? So there's different use cases for it. And don't get me wrong, like I love what Wilder World is doing. I think that that's great. And do I think that VeVe could do that at some point in time? Sure, but they're not building out a game. right? And so, but could they partner with companies that have games and say, hey, can we do some of our own IP skins or create these NFTs on VeVe that then can be used as skins in your game? Yeah, that's a lot easier plug-in. And so, like the thing with Wilder World is, it's like sure they'll get Lambo, maybe they get these other cars, but like they're not going to get Batman. You know,
Yeah.
like they're not going to get like I mean, whatever. They're not going to get all of these other IPs that VeVe has, and so if you're comparing it, what they're doing, and I think it's an unfair comparison, is they're sitting there. Okay, Wilder World has built this game, or kind of like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like my understanding is that it is like a racing game, mostly metaverse type thing.
Yeah, like a
Am I
midnight
wrong in
club.
that? Someone correct me in that.
I think, but I haven't played,
Yeah,
but that's what it seems like.
yeah, that's what it seems like to me. And so it's just like, okay, this is what they specifically built this out for, you know. And so it's just like, well, here's this use case of an awesome Lambo where I get to drive this Lambo in these races or something like that, and it looks cool. And only if you own this NFT can you then drive this Lambo. I'm like, that's a strong use case, but that's like not what VeVe has built. Like that's so to compare the two is not. They're different, I guess. It's apples and oranges to me. It doesn't take away from how awesome that Lamborghini NFT is in Wilder World, you know. But also, I still think that it's super cool to have, because my understanding too is that with, correct me if I'm wrong here, Randy. I think it was with Lamborghini, but it was the first time that like they allowed for the full like mapping of the engine or something like that. Wasn't it with Lamborghini or with one of the cars that there was like it was like the first time that they'd allowed like the full display of something.
I if that was I feel like I would remember that. I don't
Okay.
maybe piece of my brain that's missing.
Listen, maybe I'm misspeaking. So I'll have to if someone remembers that. But like there, but I just think that there's a lot that VeVe can do. But some of this stuff that I used to think, like I remember the guy who was like, "Oh, I've got like 500 hoverboards because like, you know, I want to be able to rent these hoverboards out." You know, like we were all
Yeah,
thinking of these awesome use cases,
yeah,
but we hadn't thought about the ramifications, like in a legal sense of what that means, right? Like, are these NFTs securities if you know they if VeVe creates this metaverse in which you can then make money off of these NFTs by renting them out or doing these things? Do those become securities? Um, yeah, like there's just a lot there. Where I'm going with this is like we're nowhere near Ready Player One,
yeah.
right? Like
No,
so, the
not
VV
at all.
verse is not going to be Ready Player One anytime soon. I don't think any metaverse is where you're going to have all of this different IP mixing together and doing all these epic, crazy things. But a metaverse that has been built out that looks phenomenal that I'm also bullish on is Cornucopias. Cornucopias, man. If you got like, do you not know Copy? The Copy
I
token, the
do, but I
Cornucopias?
haven't seen any footage of their metaverse.
Well, so I mean, it's a game, but like it is a metaverse. Like I mean, it really is. Like I mean, it is massive. It is so big. And one of the things that they're doing now, so they have a racing game that you can go on and play, and you buy NFTs, and then if you own those NFTs, you can race those, and you have to own the NFT to race them. They have like stock. So like each they have different classes of vehicles, and like there are free vehicles that you can race. You know that are going to have very similar specs and things. Um, but they are building out like the fighting. So one of the videos that they had early on were these like massive PvP fighting games, like fight shooter games, right? Like, and they're building that out now, and they're selling like the weapons. And if you go on their like X, like dude, like the graphics that they've done because they're on Unreal Engine 5 now, like
Oh, so it's dope.
it's amazing, and they've done so much, guys. Like I think that with Web3 gaming, I mean, I love what Off the Grid is doing, but Cornucopias, man, like I feel like that is, I mean, it's an indie game, like, but they've created all this lore around it, and it's gonna be freaking awesome. So when I'm saying like there's no Ready Player One metaverse, like there isn't, and I like people keep wanting VeVe or the VeVe verse to be that like sometime soon. Playing games in the VeVe verse, I think that's a long ways off, guys. Like I do. And right now, like they are focusing on the collectibles, and like they got to get through this bear market and get more users in. And I think
Yeah.
that with digital collectibles or the NFT narrative, if slash when that hits, that's when they can get more users, and then hopefully with their development stash of OMI, right? They'll be able to sell OMIs at like a lot higher price, and they'll build up a war chest to be able to continue to develop things in the VeVe verse and build that out.
There's a so I just took a look at the cornucopia, and it looks really awesome. They're saying it's from my phone, so it's not going to look as good because it's a device recording a device here. But Kobe looks really cool. This is their new trailer that posted, I think, like four days ago.
Yeah.
I'm curious what the gameplay is like, though. I'll see.
Yeah, like I mean, there's people in there right now, like, and all of this is happening like on the blockchain, like these transactions and things that are going on. And like I own, full disclosure, like I own Kopi nodes, I own the Kopi token, right? Like, I mean, I'm talking about it because I'm bullish on it, and I put my money where my mouth is. But like the reason that you have these nodes is so that like, and they're placed all over the world, is that they basically want to be able to do cloud gaming, right? So you don't have to download the game or anything, and you can just attach to these servers and play the game like in real time. And but yeah, Randy, you should look more into kind of the gameplay and stuff that they're doing. Like it's really cool, and like I love it. They're very community based. Like they've done a lot like VeVe has, where they've hired people from the community to start working for them and do. They find people with like skill sets that are like, hey, we need this, and they hire from the community. And like everyone, like they'll show up at like Consensus or some of these other crypto conferences and stuff, and people play the game, and all of it, like honestly, they get like amazing feedback where people are like, this is crazy, this is a lot of fun. So Kopi is another one that I think is just completely undervalued, and when that narrative hits, is going to be good. But anyways, back to VeVe. Yeah, I hope that people are trying to. I think they need to scale back their expectations on the VeVe verse and take that for what it's worth. So if people are like, well, the whole reason like I'm buying the OMI token is because I thought that this VeVe verse we're gonna be able to play games super soon. I personally don't think that's the case. I'm still buying the OMI token. I'm very bullish on what they're building out, and we'll see what this announcement is. If anyone remembers when David was on the channel here we go. When David was on the channel, he's like, oh, we got this big announcement that's coming. It was supposed to happen at the end of June. And then David was on the channel a couple weeks ago, and he's like, oh, yeah, within the next couple weeks. And what did I say? I was like, that's a David timeline. I was like, that would probably be more like the end of July.
Yeah. Good talk.
So, yeah, I would be surprised if it's longer than the end of July, though. I
Yeah.
think it'll be before the end of July.
Yeah, skins would make a lot of sense. One Pokemon, I don't know, man. Maybe one day. Maybe one day. What's up, Smart Buy? How's it going, fam? There is a last comment. Make VeVe great again. I know, right? I might get. Yeah, I'm looking at Kopi. It's like $13 million market cap for what it might be able to do. It looks pretty cool. Pretty low. I told people that, so I'm not going to San Diego. I'm definitely going to Vegas. I will want to go to New York, but if I'm not gonna lie, if alts are still down here, I that extra like $4 or $5 grand, I'd probably rather put into alts down here, because at that point it's like so close, I think, to where we would go. That's probably what I'm gonna take a look at. What's your exit strategy? For me, I'm definitely going to miss out on a lot of gains, because when something goes up 10x, I'll take a little bit off, and that could be something on like Definity or DEVVE that might do 100x. What's your exit strategy? Sell on the way up? Do you have these sell spots? Is it going to depend on the narrative?
No, I definitely have price points and percentages where I'm saying, okay, if things hit this, I'm going to sell 10%. Because what I learned last cycle, is that like you cannot time the top, and like you get too greedy and you actually lose more money than you make. unless you get lucky. And sometimes you get lucky, right? Where you just like hold out and you're just like, you know what, I'm going to wait to see. And then you're like, you know, something hits and you're just like, dude, I like that's huge, right? Because, you know, like instead of selling it at 10x, you're like, oh, I'm going to wait a couple more days, and then it does the 50x instead. And you're just like, man, like I made so much more money. But then most of the time, what happens is it does a 10x and then it drops to a 7x and it never goes back up to a 10x. And you're still waiting for it to hit back at the 10x. So you don't sell it the 7x. Then it goes to 5x and then 3x. I just can't do that, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking and seeing at these different price points, and each token is different because, yeah, like if it goes, listen, I'm not selling at 2x. I'm not selling anything at a 2x. I'm not. But like a 10x, I'm definitely going to be, and depending on the token and how much I have, like maybe even a 5x. And I'm saying, okay, at a 5x, like if I take out 20% of my holdings at a 5x, I have all of my money out completely, right? And then going forward, I'm going to take out 10% if it pumps to here or this, you know, and like, and I'm not saying that I'm going to do that necessarily, but that is something that like I'm looking at and saying, depending on what token it is and how firmly I believe in it, you know, like I have different exit points, but like, I'm just going to sell up along the way, man. Like, because some narratives last like 3 days. You know, like
Really?
yeah, like depending on what it is. I mean, the decentralized science thing, like that didn't last very long at all. You know, like it pumped, and maybe that was like a week. You know, but some other narratives are like 2 or 3 weeks, right? And who knows what it's going to be like this cycle? Like, I mean, maybe we get like a crazy sustained pump of all these different narratives each time it's rolling in. A lot of it has to do with like what interest rates are. Is there quantitative easing, you know, where the Fed or governments are pumping money into the economy? Because listen, our debt right now, consumer debt, is at an all-time high. Let me say that again. Like, and the reason I think that this is important, prices had gotten, like, inflation was so bad for so long, and prices got so high, and you know, whether it's COVID, you know, supply chain delays, like whatever the excuses were, or people, you know, just corporations being greedy and saying that it was supply chain delays, prices went up substantially, and people, to maintain their lifestyle, costs went up, and their wages did not go up to match that, and so they are living the same lifestyle off of debt, and they're just putting more and more onto their credit card. They're getting HELOCs. They're doing whatever, right? And this is going up. And something is going to burst there. Something has to break, right? Like you've got that. You've got tariffs, which like there's some chinks in the armor of the economy with that, and hopefully that gets fixed. And I think there's short-term pain with like long-term potential massive gains for us going forward, just like our negotiating power going forward. And like, I mean, just U.S. companies and their ability to trade globally get stronger if it works out, right?
It seems like it is for now. It seems like all these deals are getting signed, and the last vestiges of the last countries that haven't, Trump's like, all right, we're going to tariff the heck out of you, and you have no choice. Like you could not do business with us, whatever, and U.S. will lose a tiny bit, but they're going to want to. So
yeah, like we'll see how it all plays out, right? But I do think that at some point, like there's something that's got to give in the economy, man. Like things can't just keep going up. Like something will break, and when that happens, there's going to be a drop in interest rates. They're going to flood the market with dollars. I mean, with quantitative easing, like they've got to pump money into the economy, and when that happens, prices go up, and there's liquidity in the market. Prices of things go up. So.
I mean, you see interest rates already compressing even without Powell doing anything, despite the fact that he doesn't want to do it because it'll just give Trump credit, and he doesn't like Trump. I hope they investigate him for political bias. I hope he gets out of there. But again, it's already compressing. Unemployment's down. Inflation seems to be down. I think that's really all it takes. Even if it's like a quarter point, which is nothing, they should do like a full. They should probably do like a full point, but. They'll have 2 this year, and then I think 1 next year, or 1 early next year. But honestly, I think they should just get a new Fed chair, and then.
Well, it's already happening, right? Trump's already going to like name Powell's successor, which has never happened before. They name a successor before the chairman, the chair steps down. But I think he's just kind of sick of it. I mean, I think that Trump does feel like Powell is playing these, politics or something. He's like, the inflation, and it's just like, listen, we're seeing a lot of, all of the numbers are showing that the economy is doing pretty darn good. Like, why aren't you lowering interest rates now? Now, I say that, right? Like, there's this caveat. There's parts of the economy. So unemployment numbers, maybe they are down, right? But like, I have started to hear, we have some economists at work that do presentations, and they're talking about a lot of weaknesses and things. You have and I've talked about this before on the channel, but commercial real estate, the refinancing risk that people who own CRE, especially when it's just like office space CRE, right? Oh my gosh, they're getting killed. They're getting killed because after COVID, there were so many companies that telework. And so, and they built these companies now. And, with the government saying everyone's got to return to work, and some of these corporations are like, yeah, you guys need to get back into work too. That's helping. But what happened is CRE loans in general are typically 3 to 7 year term loans, right? With an amortization of 30 years. And so they were, their last refinance was when interest rates were 3%, right? And now they're refinancing back into 7%. And when we're talking about a $50 million CRE property, $100 million, CRE property, that 4% is substantial. And then when you combine that with lower occupancy rates, they can't afford that, right? And so then they bail. They give the keys to the banks, and then the banks are just like, well, we loaned out 80 million on this, but now because the rent rolls are showing they're only making this much, the value's gone down substantially. So I don't know, there's a lot of different ways that things could play out. But we're due for some sort of recession, guys. we are well overdue for a recession. And I think that Trump knows that, and he's like, but if we can get ahead of it and kind of lower interest rates and kind of get some money into the markets, maybe that lessens the impact of the recession. So,
and also, if we go into a recession and we get hecked before the bull run happens and before alt season, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna go crazy if that happens beforehand.
The recession, though, okay, Randy, so COVID wrecked our economy, right? COVID wrecked our economy. All these small businesses shut down. There's major unemployment, all of this stuff.
I lost well over $100,000. Yeah.
Okay, but the pump in crypto happened in 2021 when the economy was still
had a V-shaped recovery.
Right. So that's the thing is you're oh, if that happens, and the reason crypto went up is because then they started giving out all of this money. Do you remember they were giving people checks every month, right?
I remember not getting those checks because I apparently made too. I am so that was probably the best and worst times of my life. Worst because I lost so much money. The gyms in New York was just a absolute fucking shithole. Best of times because I had a nice 6 months with one of the most beautiful gals. Oh my God, that was. But yeah, that was best and worst of times. And again, I lost a lot of money in the high risk lending because all of the businesses that I lent out money to, suddenly they weren't allowed to operate. But then I made a fudge ton of money in Tesla, and then a bunch of money in Pokemon cards because again, people getting those $1,200 checks, I think their amount of them probably didn't deserve it because they were buying Pokemon cards with it. It worked out well for me. I don't know if that's going to happen again this time. You have a $7 trillion in money market accounts, and yeah, I think that would do really well. But I mean, I don't care. I don't want to say I don't care. At this point, I don't really care what happens in the most of America. I really only care what happens to crypto because that's where most of my money is. And I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like a guy that's been prisoner for 5 years eating nothing but like rabbit food, and there's this big juicy burger, an 8-pound burger that's headed my way, and a recession is just going to wash the burger away, and I won't be able to take it. It will be the Remington retirement plan for me if that happens. So
I don't think that that's going to happen, man. Listen, anything is possible. Um, I just don't see that happening. Like, to me, again, yeah, I just think that they'll pump liquidity in. Now, the risk is that the recession happens or something happens and crypto goes way further down, right? And then there's a pump, but like that pump brings us back up, and then so it looks like a really big pump because things dropped so far after that, right? Because of the recession, that then the pump back up brings us to like maybe current levels, or like maybe twice or three times as high as current levels. But from where it went to the bottom, that could be a 50x for some projects or something, you know. So there is that risk, you know. But like there will be, for me, again, there's nothing to indicate to me that there won't be an alt season. I haven't seen anything that would be like, ooh, maybe history won't be similar like it was the last 3 cycles, and there won't be an alt season. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
do
Because
you ever
again,
see stuff
like, it's
running
human
before
nature. It's human
Bitcoin?
nature. What's that?
Like, do you see any possibility of certain things running like before Bitcoin and before ETH? Like, oh, this went a 20x and we have no idea why.
Yeah. What token just did that? There's a token that just went bananas.
In like the top 100?
No. Snowy Owl, but that's no. There's something else.
I have Snowy Owl, not because I bought it, but because people kept sending it to me. Yeah, it went up like 1,000%, right?
No, well, 2,000%, right, which was a 20x. So, but like I was thinking like not like a meme coin necessarily. I thought that there was one that went up pretty substantially, and maybe I'm off on that.
I'm sure there is, because I see crypto Twitter all the time go kind of nuts, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Anyways, do I think that there could be certain tokens that pump before Bitcoin hits its all-time high? Yeah, I think that happens, but more than likely, it's not going to be one of the blue chips. It's going to be like a lesser known token. I still think it could be the decent token, right? Maybe within the top 800, that could do quite well, and jump up a lot of spots. But
I mean, even
XRP, I think could run, and do some crazy numbers, even with XRP's market cap.
This cycle?
What's that?
This cycle?
Yes.
Like, how many X's? I know like what's possible and then what will actually happen. Definitely two different things, but
like, well, I mean, it depends, but like if really, and this is where like I wanted to talk to. There's a member in Crypto Rain's Patreon that like follows XRP like almost exclusively and just knows everything about it. But like basically what he has said is that the payment rails of the TradFi financial system are being built on XRP. If that happens, if that really happens, then XRP's market cap will be like, what is it now?
136 billion.
136 billion. Yeah, it'll be in the trillions. It'll be in the trillions. And like if it truly is like the financial payment rails for the world, oh my gosh, like trillions and trillions. I need to know more about it. But with that potential, if that really is what it could do, if it ends up doing that, I think it'll absolutely front run Bitcoin, like and pump before Bitcoin hits its all time high. But like some of this regulation really has to be in place, but like it's happening, right? Like crypto week is next week, right? Where the House and Senate are going to pass, like work on passing these bills. So we'll see.
So there's the Genius Act, there's the and there's two other ones, right?
Well, so there's Genius Act, there's the Stable Act, but like I think that they're adopting most of what's in the Genius Act, and then it'll, I don't know if it'll remain the Genius Act or if they're going to put together a new bill real quick to put forward for votes for the House and Senate before putting it to Trump. Then there's the
Clarity Act.
The Clarity Act. That's the one. Yeah, the Clarity Act that's a big one, and the Clarity Act is all about kind of like understanding crypto, like and what, like who has oversight over most crypto, right? Like, is it the CFTC? Is it the SEC? Like those type of things. Like, what is a security? Like what's a crypto security, or what makes certain cryptos a security? All of this stuff. So, yeah, that can definitely usher in an era of, this golden age of crypto. Things you can just get crazy,
Yeah. I love the I would love the CFTC to get in there because I don't think anyone respects the SEC. I think they're pretty feckless. I don't like the
well, Hester Force is changing that, man.
Recently they've been good. But just God, just for so long they were just like, yeah, just come in, let us know what you want to do. And then Wells notice. Like, we did exactly what you asked. I don't know if I'll ever forgive him for that. I don't know. Like, I feel like the last week, Diddy is found innocent of like 3 of 5 charges, and suddenly there's no Epstein list. Like Epstein, he did it to himself. Like there's no way.
They showed us folders of the Epstein list. Did you see that? I mean, like the binders that they were like all holding up, right? Like,
and suddenly there's no list. Like,
it's so crazy. That is like, I just yeah, like there are no words for like how crazy that is. That all there's never been an Epstein list. It's like, what? Like you're just gonna try to memory hold that like we're like idiots. But like
this timeline is wild.
Yes.
This is insane. So I feel like any faith I had in government is just that is gone. That. But play that out and be like, okay, what would have happened? Because like apparently like 70% of like the world leaders were like on this list or whatever, and like everyone was like, world would be in chaos. Like half the congressman and senator and like Prince Andrew and like I don't know. I feel like that probably would have been horrible. And there's this one episode of Rick and Morty. Have you ever seen that show?
Yeah.
The one where they go to like Jelly Bean Town, or they're in this world where there's a bunch of jelly beans, and like the revered leader of Jelly Bean Town passed away, and the one of his like bishops or whatever like finds some horrible photos of this big adult jelly bean and these little kid jelly beans, and he's like, we have to tell people, and the other guy's like, listen, what would that do? Like everyone has this memory of this amazing leader, and I think people should remember who we thought he was, or who we thought that man was, as opposed to the jelly bean he actually was. And I was like, okay, that's a good point. I don't know if that's a good argument, but that's the thing where it's like, because I mean, like, then what do? Suddenly you upset an entire nation, and you upset like, and then now, granted, that guy he's already dead, so it might not have really mattered. But if you have people that are still in power, that are in this list,
because the message then that sends is that the next person will get away with it too. because as long as you become this beloved leader, then it doesn't matter what you've done in your past, and we'll just memory hold that, and that's BS. Listen, if 70% of the freaking world leaders were on Epstein Island doing bad things, they need to freaking go to jail. Get them out of here. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Because again, that sends the message. Listen, if we find it out, you don't get protected just because you're a politician, just because you're in this position of power. Like that's so wrong on so many levels. And that's the problem, right? Is like the justification, the means justify the end. Like, or what is the end justify the means? Yeah, right. Like, and it's just like, no. Like there's a moral freaking code. You don't mess with kids, man. You don't mess with kids. I don't care who the freak you are, but like you need to be locked up for freaking life. And if those people, all these politicians did that, gone.
So I 100% agree with that. However, there's a let's say like Daredevil, who is Daredevil, but he's also Matt Martin. He's a lawyer. And if they were ever find out that he was Daredevil, all of the cases that he tries, all these horrendous people, suddenly they go free, mistrial. And then it's like, okay, well, how much good versus bad does that do? And then also you have the people that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Frank says like, yeah, I was on Epstein Island, but you could go there for blow and hookers, or there was different parts of the island, kind of like Fire Island. There's like different parts. How do you know who's there for like random nefarious fun versus like horrible stuff? How do you? I guess there's witnesses, maybe. I mean, what if someone was just there?
Listen, you're innocent until proven guilty. I mean, even if you've done this stuff, if we can't prove it, you get that free. Like you got it. Like that's them's the rules, right? But like, there's a lot of people that they have the evidence on. I'm guessing. I mean, listen, his freaking painting of George W. Bush with those airplanes with like the block towers, like what? Right? And then like, what was another one that he had of like Clinton or something like that? Like
an address. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some, like you don't just have those paintings. Like you're sending a freaking message when you have those paintings, right? Especially like what Epstein did and things. So I feel like there's a lot of evidence there, and that's the thing. I think the whole political system is corrupt, man. I look at like one of my favorite politicians, past tense, was Dan Crenshaw. Right?
Yeah.
Like the dude with the patch, the eye patch. He's a Navy SEAL. He was freaking awesome. Someone got to him, bro. He is what a shyster that guy has become, right? I'm just like, who the crap are you now, right? And like, that's the thing is, I think that people, they want to get into politics. They want to make a difference in the world, and they see the corruptness that's there. And I think a lot of them go in naively being like, I can make a change. And then what happens, man, is that machine that chews them up and spits them out, right? They find something on it, whether they set you up and then they have these photos or voicemails or like whatever it is, dude. But like, I look at Mitt Romney. I used to like Mitt Romney a lot. Dude, I freaking hate that guy. I hate that guy.
What's he done recently?
What's that?
I haven't kept up. What's he done recently? I haven't kept up in like.
Oh, just like, I mean, just his like 180 on a lot of his stances and like how he hates Trump. And listen, there's a lot I don't like about Trump, and I don't want to get all into the politics of that. There's a lot that I like about him, right? But like, just the person he's become and like the things that he said, like, I can't, like, he's just a freaking two-faced, and that's the thing is, like, I just have been let down by every politician.
Yeah.
There's not a single politician. Like, I think all politicians are freaking corrupt, man. Like, they are. And like, I think that's the system. And so, but if we could get rid of 70% of them with real evidence and saying, listen, you guys freaking broke the law. Okay, here's the thing. Why is Hillary Clinton not in jail for destroying those servers?
The 36,000 emails.
If that was any other federal employee, they would be rotting in a prison cell right now. But because she was a politician, she gets out. She gets the out of jail free card. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And listen, you say the same thing about so many Republicans, right? Like I'm just saying politicians in general. And I know we went on this whole like political tirade, and we can get off that, but like, The Epstein list, crazy. The whole P Diddy stuff, all of the testimony that of witnesses that like that just gets swept under the rug.
Uh,
You know? Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy timeline. You mentioned the 23andMe thing before. Like the day that Diddy got arrested was the day that the 23andMe like CEO like stepped down, and it's like, and like him and a couple others like, what? Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of craziness out there. And
Coincidence.
that's why I think with all the craziness in the world, it would be nice if you can go on the VeVe app or VeVeverse, and there was a game that you could just play for a couple that takes 2 minutes. I feel like some of these games that take a small amount of time, I feel like they definitely have their place. Like obviously you have like Breath of the Wild, you have games that can take 10, 40 hours to complete, but certain games that you can play in a couple minutes, I think VeVe should really look at investing in one of those, because there's already code for like the base bones of games like that, and then they just add in their own VeVe characters, add in their own skins. I know if they do that, you'll have people that'll be like, well, why do that? Why build the whole metaverse for that? It's just hard. Like if
You
they're going to
can't
delay the
please
mobile.
everyone, man. I learned that a very hard way. You cannot please everyone. And so what you got to do is you just got to have a vision, which I believe that Dave does and Dan does. Right? David and Dan, they have a vision. They just need to stick with that vision and just build. And you know, all these freaking armchair CEOs, it's like go out and build your own freaking metaverse then. Like you do it. If you don't like what they're building, that's fine. Go do something about it yourself, right? I just am so sick of the people who from the sidelines, like now there's constructive criticism is great. You can sit there and say, hey, I think that this could help. You do it in a kind, professional way. That's awesome. But there's a bee on my that's funny. Um, yeah, like there's a way to do it, but all these other people who are sitting here like you could do like you need to do this. The problem is you're sitting there on your couch eating your Doritos, tweeting this out, and it's like you don't have the full story. You don't know everything that they're dealing with. You don't know all of the regulations they're dealing with. Like for example, the whole lawsuit thing, right? Like I didn't even know. Like I like when David came on the channel and we asked him why didn't the team talk about OMI for the last 4 years? Why did you guys barely freaking mention the word? And finally it came out that they were like, we couldn't be seen to be manipulating the price of the token. And if we talked about that, that might be used against us to say that, listen, they said these things and then the token went up or the token went down or like whatever that was, right? And then they could get in trouble for it. And so they couldn't say anything. But no one knew that for sure for 4 freaking years, right? And so when people are sitting here, you should do this or you should do this, it's like, unfortunately, you don't have all of the information to know whether or not your call even makes sense or is even viable with what they're playing with, right? So
Yeah, that was definitely vindicating to hear. It's like, okay, hey, there's reasons. This was it. I Is any futter going to apologize? No.
no, and here's the thing, like, and it's not just VeVe. Like last cycle, there was these people who fudded Cardano, right? Like, and they were just like Cardaleno, like I mean, Crypto Rain talks about that all the time, right? Those guys never popped up again, or they just created new Twitter handles and then they fudded something else. Like what happens is people get emotional, right? And they don't want to own their shit, right? So they sit there and they say these things and they're just like, listen, was I upset that like we didn't get interoperability when we were told that we were? Yeah, that sucked. I made financial decisions based on that information. But you know what? No one put a gun to my head saying I had to do it. At the end of the day, now did I going forward was I like when they say something, how much stock do I actually put in it? Because now I have some evidence that sometimes they say things and it doesn't happen, or that it takes a longer time to happen, right? And so, but that's the thing is I did start to see improvements, and there used to be a time, right, when the fudders were like, oh, there's not going to be any cash out, and then there was cash out, and those same people, they didn't say, hey, my bad. You know what? There was cash out, and I didn't think there was. No, they just went on to the next thing, and that tells me that either like I really feel bad for those people. What a terrible life. Seriously, when you have that much hatred and that much bitterness, that like that's all you can do with your time is to sit there and trash talk a project instead of being like, you know what, I didn't like this project, I felt deceived or whatever, and I'm moving on from it, and I'm going to find something else that brings me joy, that I'm excited about, that I can invest in. People like that, they get held back, they're stuck. And that's why you see the same fudders saying the same things, well, or different things. They're finding something else to fud about, but they're still here. And I'm like, guys, move on with your life. You know, like this isn't for you. That's great. Like I understand, but like it's sad. It's really sad.
I think a lot of the butters that have, they finally have someone to like listen to them. Like I don't think any of these people have ever, like I think people were really mean to them in middle school and high school, and they just don't have a big network. And now they say something that's negative, and suddenly they get this verbal affirmation, like, "Yeah, you're right." And it's like, oh, like that feeling. It's like people that pick fights with someone just so they at least interact with this person. Like I know, like I'm not going to get a loving interaction from this person, but fighting might be to them better than nothing at all. So yes, very unfortunate, sad lifestyle, but them's the breaks.
Yeah, but listen, like we can learn from that, right? And here's the thing: I have yet to see any one of those fudders who just constantly trash talk VeVe. I've yet to see them also talk about another project and be like, I made it big here. Right. And so it's just like, okay, so listen, I'm not saying that some of what the fudders have said isn't like legit, right? Like I feel like there's legitimate reasons why people can be upset. I will not take that away from them. But like to just hang on to that and not move on, or not to learn and grow from it and say, okay, like how do I do things differently going forward? And sometimes, yeah, there's projects that I'm just like, you know what, I'm out of here. Like I've lost trust on this and I'm gone. Um, and I'll call out projects that have just been like, yeah, like I feel like these guys lied, but that's it. Like I say
Yeah.
it, and then I'm done. And if someone asks me about it, I'll bring it up again. I'll say, oh yeah, like there's this, right? But I'm not out there like tweeting and doing this stuff. Where I'm going with that is those people are not the people I want to be following for success, or that I want to be learning from. I'm not learning anything from these people, you know? And so like what benefit does that have? Guys, we have a short life. We have no idea how much time we actually have, right? Let's spend it trying to build up things and to learn and to grow. And the people that are just constantly fudding, those are energy freaking vampires. And I used to have this as like a point of pride that like I wouldn't block them, right? I would be like, oh no, I got to listen to what they're saying and stuff. And then I was just like, no, like these people are just assholes. Like, you know what I mean? Like now there's some that like I'm like, no, like you guys bring up some great points. You're very professional about the way that you bring this up, and I'll interact with those people. But for the most part, all of those people I've just blocked because I'm like, you legitimately add no value to my life. All you do is take away. And so
Yeah.
even though you might bring up some valid points, it's not worth it, right? I get like 0.2% of something like useful to the 99.08, I mean, or 98% that like that's all negative. I'm like, guys, block those people. They're not
Yeah.
helping you out, and they don't care about you. They sit there and pretend that they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They care about themselves and their emotions. And listen, the minute like you agree with them, they'll love you, and the minute you disagree with them, all of a sudden, like I mean, they'll throw you under the bus and they hate you. Like, they don't care about you.
Yeah, there's and I don't even, I mean, some stuff, unfortunately, some stuff is funny. Like there was one I had, I think it's on my Snapchat now. It might have been, it's gone. Lit. Like some of this stuff is pretty funny. So that's a character called Muscle Man on a show called Regular Show. So somebody just put Electra tattooed on there and my face on there, and like that's funny. Um, but there'll be some people that'll just lie, and it's like, that's not funny, that's not helpful, and you're just spreading misinformation to hurt people or whatever. So certain things are funny, but if you're just lying, then it's like I'll really only block if they lie, um, or if they're trying to state facts, like, okay, I know what you're doing, and again, it's not. Um, yeah, if it's like making fun of, I feel like that's kind of fine. For me anyway, but if they lie, I'll definitely block them. But anyway, we've got about 2 hours here. Let's end on a bit more of a positive note. We have a successful Lisbon behind us. There's a couple of more projects or a couple more events. So there's San Diego. There is Hong Kong that they're going to, New York, and then Vegas. They are. I think they took away Singapore. There's been a little bit of strife about that. But which ones are you going to? I think you're going to. Are you going to the rest of them except for Hong Kong?
I think I'm pulling out of New York Comic Con because I know.
Yeah, I know Cosmo's not going either.
Yeah, Cosmo's not going, and like I just don't know. I just don't know if it makes sense. We'll see. Listen, if crypto pumps crazy, then it'll be like, I'm there.
Yeah,
but if not, it's just like I don't know. But San Diego Comic Con, I'm going to, and probably like 95% chance going to Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas, baby.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% going to Vegas.
Yeah, so like that's where I want to go. And the reason that for people who don't know, but like on Dean and Nano's channel when David was on there, he was like, we launched at a DCon and we're gonna celebrate our 5 years at a DCon, and so VeVe's coming up on 5 years, and so they are looking to have kind of like the 5-year anniversary party thing, which will be in Vegas, which would be crazy. So and that's a lot closer to where I am, anyways. So like those are the two that I'm going to. And you said no to San Diego Comic Con, but you're you're not.
I'm in Ohio now, so I'm not.
Yeah.
When I was in New York, it's like, okay, that makes sense. I still might go to New York because I haven't been there in a while, and I have friends I'd like to visit. But that last year, I was so tired because there's so much stuff going on, and then the people that were real, and they weren't like, hey, it's an hour out of the city, take a train there. They were like, take the train all the way to Ronkonkoma, 90 minutes out, and then take an Uber for another 30 minutes to where some of my friends live. And I was like, guys, I don't know. I'll see.
Yeah.
If I do that, I'll do Thursday, Friday at, when are the parties?
Typically Thursday. I want to say Thursday is when
Thursday, Friday are the parties.
There's like the VeVe party, which is normally like a Thursday, and then Sanjay does like a rooftop party or something like that on Friday.
Yeah, so I might do Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday be in Long Island, and then leave out on Columbus Day on Monday. I might do that, or I might skip it. I don't know. We'll see. Depends. But I'll definitely be in Vegas. Vegas is a definite must. Let's talk off camera for a bit. Everyone, thank you for joining. Everyone say bye-bye.
See ya.